Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Esoteric Atlanta. We are joined with our friend and our favorite little heathen from outer darkness, Lorene.
Thanks.
How are you
Take
doing
it. Apostate.
We're all in outer darkness. It's where the cool kids go, right?
That's right. That's right.
Apostate. And I am so excited about this show today. First of all, you guys, we are in the middle of Mercury retrograde, and I feel and our time has changed. And hello, Midwest Night Watchers, and we're going and we're in the junction of the seasons, and we were just saying this has been a hard week. And so if you're feeling a little stressed out, this too shall pass. Like, it's it's a rough time of year, isn't it? You're in a lot of our friends, Lorene, from other countries, they don't understand tornadoes. And that's just part of living in America. Is it just how you're saying you had tornado sirens going off?
Last night and last week. So we've already had them a couple times already this season. It'll be interesting. We've had a lot of thunderstorms.
It is that is just the American continent, isn't it? We have some crazy weather on the American continent. We're definitely us in Australia have a lot of things in common with crazy animals, crazy weather, crazy things happening. But it is what it is, that's just living where we live. And so we're used to it. I laugh. I've laughed before because kids today, they're so if the wind blows the wrong way, they stay home from school. But when I was a kid, we would go to school when there was a tornado warning, and we would just get in the hallway and put our head between our hands and wait for it to pass. Can you believe that? Our parents would send us to school when a tornado was going.
Deal with it there. Yep.
Let the teachers deal with it. You'll be fine. This shit happens. So.
And yesterday it was 80 degrees, but Sunday it's supposed to snow. So it's fun.
Fun times. Well, hello, everybody. Welcome. I hope everybody is doing well. And I was laughing today. We're laughing offline because we're going to talk some shit about the Mormons. And I just want to say, though, with everything, I come down hard on mainstream Christianity because that's how I grew up. My problem with these organized religion is the governmental bodies of the religion, what they're not telling people. We understand. I want to make that very clear. We understand that most people are good-hearted people. Their intentions are in the right place. They've just been led down a very scary. And this is what makes me mad, Lorene, with all religions that use God as a weapon, which I feel like is what the Mormons do. It's what Christians do. It's what Islam. When you terrify people about the afterlife, about death, intentionally to keep them loyal to you in life, that is so wrong.
On so many levels.
Do we sound like we're skipping, guys? If it sounds, Lorene sounds good to me. Do I sound like I'm skipping, Lorene?
Not on my end.
Okay, it could be, Amy, it could be your connection, but just let us know, okay? Because if something is wrong, please let us know, because again, Mercury retrograde.
I was having issues with my Bluetooth right before we went live, so
technology, it affects technology. So anyway, but where do we begin, Lorene? Where do we even begin with this shit show?
I mean, it is a shit show. There's so much to go into, and all of her family ties with Mormonism is wild. You don't see it there on the surface, but that's usually how it goes. Just right. They hide it through the mother's line a lot of times. My great-great-great-grandfather helped marry at least one of Joseph Smith's wives to him. So there are ties in Mormonism that I don't even know about with all of my siblings. He had 11 wives altogether. So
your great whatever.
Yes, my mom's dad's dad's dad. Yep. So or more far, right?
Now listen. Now we know a little Swedish. Thank you, Candace. We learned a little Swedish. Why don't we start with that? Because this is I talked about this with Catherine because this is what actually, and you're right. Now I want to say this again. Two things can be true. One thing I hate about, and not everything is black and white. We all have a lot of people, I think, paint certain people as black and white depending on who their family is. And I think we do have to be careful with that, generally speaking, because if we look into any of our history, we're going to find Freemasonry. If we look into any of our history, we're going to find characters in our family line that we're frankly not super proud of. Right? That's for anybody. I don't think there's anybody in the world that's not going to have somebody in their family line that they're like, oh, you know?
Especially here in America, because we are basically one nation under Masonry, if you don't already know that.
Listen, my great grandfather, let's see if I can do this in the Swedish way. My farmor. So my father's mother, my farmor's, her farfar. So my great grandfather through my grandmother, through my dad's mom. I've done shows on him. He was a worshipful warlock of the Freemasons of South Georgia. He was also a judge in South Georgia. He brought electricity to South Georgia. His house in Quitman, Georgia, which is a beautiful old house, is now a flower shop, which is apparently haunted by him. That's weird when you're like, it's haunted by my great, you know. And I never knew him, but you know, I hear great stories about him. So I don't know. Like we all have these people in our lineage, and it will always remain a question mark but we have a lot of Freemasonry. I know on my mom's side, the Bryces, where I get my name, Joseph Bryce, who I share his birthday, actually, my great grandfather, my mother's father's father, he was a 33rd degree Master Mason.
Wow.
So both sides, I have this. Now, my grandparents weren't. Both my grandfathers were not into Freemasonry at all. They never talked about it, but we all have this, and so we're not judged because we can't control that. Like we can't control what we're not responsible for our ancestors' karma, right? We're not responsible, and you know, and I think a lot of these guys, Lorene, back in those days, they didn't have the internet. They didn't have knowledge, didn't spread as quickly. And so I do understand that some people join like Rotary clubs and all that kind of stuff. I can understand like trying to establish your business, network, you know. And I think sometimes what they say, the path to hell is paved with good intentions, you know. Yeah. But that's wild that you have a far, whatever, a more far that had 11 wives. That's wild. You got a lot.
I mean, just all the cousins. Like I don't even know them all. On my dad's side, well, he had 5 siblings, and then my mom's side, I only have a few cousins. Like I could name them, but on my dad's side, there are so many of them. I don't even know all of their names. My uncle and aunt, one of them had, I believe, 11 kids altogether. Oh. My parents had 8. So there's 19 altogether right there. That's just between 2 of them. I know one of them had 5. Another one had at least 6. There's a lot of cousins. And then not to mention all of the lines that come from my polygamy, the polygamy in my line. We have no idea. I'm sure that down the road, we will have cousins who will be marrying each other and they won't even know.
That's when we're going to talk a little bit about, because you brought up a good point before we even went on air about polygamy and with Erika Kirk's situation. And that's wild because I think it's like in each state, there are different laws. I think in Georgia, you can marry like your 5th cousin or something. But before that, you're not allowed, like it's to the DNA. I have a student who works with genetics, and she was saying that first cousins, like a lot of times first cousins, their DNA matches so much that it will register as a sibling.
Wow, that's interesting. That's very interesting.
I have a male cousin, one of my mom's sister's sons. We look identical. Like when we're in public, we look like we could be brother and sister. And actually, we both stupidly did our DNA, and we have a very high percentage match of DNA. And so I get what she's saying. Like and think about that, royalty used to do that all the time, marrying first cousins. And sometimes you're looking at
Speaking of royalty, there's family in Utah called the Kingstons, and that is a branch of the Mormon Church. So there's the mainstream LDS, and then you have the many breakoffs. The RLDS was the first main breakoff. That is now Community of Christ. So if you see that church around, that used to be RLDS. I believe they still do the Book of Mormon, but they were more honest with the history than the LDS church. But the Kingston group also broke off of the mainstream LDS, and they marry each other. There is a girl named Amanda Ray who talks about it a lot. And her dad married his sister. And they do blood work, they do blood tests to see who's compatible and who will have kids that will survive, because there's so many that they lose due to the inbreeding. It's
even so when I rescue that's a question for you. Is the RLDS in the Midwest, Lorraine, the RLDS?
Yes. Yeah. Yes.
This is something that's fascinating to me. I laugh because I'm like, humans don't even know this. When I rescue dogs in India, so I have learned a lot about dogs in the wild just from rescue by the vet that works with us, because they're all street dogs. And the street dogs in India can live to be like 20 to 25 years old unless they're like hit by a car or something. And the vet's like, yeah, because they're not inbred and they, survival of the fittest. And I was like, wait a minute, they're not inbred. And he was like, no, dogs know. They instinctively know who their sisters are, who their mothers are, and who their first cousins are. They instinctively know.
That's why as humans, we're not attracted to our cousins normally. Because it's not natural. It's not okay. We need to stop doing this. And I don't even know how they're still allowed to do it, except for that they are a branch of the Mormons. And again, if you don't know, they are one of the main pillars of everything that runs everything. So the branches are kind of a break off of that. And I believe somewhat safe in that regard because of that.
It's like a mafia.
The Mormon mafia. Yep. It's a real thing.
I lived in Utah my entire life, went to school with polygamous kids. There were so many of them that it was kind of normalized in a way. I was talking about that with one of my friends this morning who was at my class. We were talking about how in Utah, it kind of sounds to me like it's a bit of a theocracy in a little way, that a lot of their politicians were supposed to have separation of church and state. And I think they get away with it, Lorraine, because they just don't legally marry them.
Right. It's all closed door, behind the scenes, in the temple. You don't know about it.
Yeah. And they have, and they're over the age of 18. Hopefully, we know in some of these more fundamentalist ones, they're not. That's a problem. They're not. But the
FLDS is the branch with Warren Jeffs. That's a more common name that most people know, but that's the FLDS. So fundamentalist LDS.
Yeah. And, I have to hand it to like the fundamentalists, at least kind of like the LDS is honest about the history. I think they're probably a safer branch because they seem to be a little bit more relaxed, but at least the fundamentalists are actually truly living the way Joseph Smith taught, right?
Yeah, they stuck to it. And same with the Kingstons. They did too. The Church of the Firstborn is another rabbit hole you could go down and you could talk about for hours.
Let's do it one day, girl, because this is wild to me. And we know, well, my opinion from all of my deep dives I've done, I believe that all of the Abrahamic religions are part of the control mechanism that is the establishment. So we've said this before, Lorraine, like I have a lot of new subscribers that since we've been going over Mormonism, I get in the comment section, like, you're not talking about all the sins. I'm like, I have 1,000 other videos that talk about the sins of all the other churches. So now it's
the Mormons' turn.
Now, so trust me. We are very.
And if you want to learn more about the Mormon Mafia, there is this amazing book I just found, actually from the files, and it is massive. It is documents and all of the proof of this guy named Brett Ellison, and he also wrote this little book. It's kind of a summary, and I'm just going to put it on the screen and show you guys so you can go look it up. This is the guy's name. I don't know if you can see that. Brett Ellison. It's very, very interesting. We'll just say that.
Book. I will definitely be, because I was telling my friend this morning, I was like, here's the thing about Mormonism. I was like, I am so unbelievably fascinated by it because it's so witchy. It's so witchy. It's so warlocky. There's so much occult to it. Now there's occultism in all the Abrahamic religions, but like way more openly in Mormonism through their temple rituals. And I was like, listen, I don't want to be a part of it, but it's fascinating because it's so scandalous. It's so scandalous because they are using the occult. And I don't think people and that's not fair. Like Mormons, that's not fair. You have people coming into these temples and you're not telling them what they're actually doing. Or they're under the impression that they're doing something that they're not doing. You're not.
They're under the impression that they're making sure that their family can be together forever in heaven. Families can be together is one of those songs that still pop up in my head. but only if you do what you're supposed to do. And that's not God. God, I mean, and they talk about it all the time. We have free agency, but at the same time, you are not afforded free agency in Mormonism.
No.
Their God is a very brutal God and wants blood sacrifices and atonements. And that is not the God of light.
No, it is not. It is not. Absolutely not. That is not the creator God. I feel like the creator God is real chill. Just play my friends, play my children, go on your little journey. And I just, to not even let people know they're doing necromancy that is a crime to me. Like, we need consent. People need to understand exactly what they're doing to have informed consent. And I do think that's why the laws of forgiveness do apply, because even though with the, if you have really good people in the Mormon church who are making good choices and really honestly care about others, I think they're fine. My opinion, they're making good choices. There's laws of forgiveness. They didn't know what it was they were really doing. Same with the Christian church, same with Judaism, same even with Islam for like the regular Muslims, not the extremists, but the regular ones. That I do think that there's leeway, there's gray there. And again, all the fault for me lies with the powers that be, not with this is interesting too.
It's not the lay ministry. It's not your neighbor that's bringing you cookies when you're sick. Or chicken noodle soup when you're sick and giving you butter when you need it for your cookies. It's the people at the very top and mainly in Utah, because that's where their hub is. Everything goes right up to the top to Utah.
And let's call it what it is. Quorum of the 12. So what is a coven? I meant to bring this up one time, a long time ago, but I forgot. What is a coven? Consists of 12 members and one warlock.
Isn't that interesting? And the number one right now is Dallin H. Oaks, who went to Chicago around the same time as the Pope, became on the Supreme Court justice very soon after he became a lawyer. That is not normal. No. So it is, they're just out in the open with it. Now we have the internet to understand, and we can learn on our own the truth of these matters. And that's why I talk about it, because we have to know the truth so that we can fix it.
And so that we can never make these mistakes again. Thank you so much, Midwest Night Watchers, for you put the link up for the Mormon Mafia. Thank you. So there's a debate here with Constantine and the Council of Nicaea created Yahshua's students as 12. There were like 70 though.
Well, they have a quorum of the 70. That's interesting.
It is interesting. Half of, or majority of Jesus's or Yahshua's students, his disciples, were women. Most were women. But of course, they had to cut all that out, because we can't have that, can we?
Right.
We can't have women.
Women don't do anything. What do they do?
We're just
breeders, loud mouths.
Right, exactly. So Constantine is the one that made the 12. That was done in the 4th century, 324, 325, the Council of Nicaea, when he brought in his editors of the Bible. People are like, the Bible's the word of God. I'm like, how come there were editors? Like, why would you edit the word of God? And it got
look into King James.
Exactly. He was a PDF file Satanist, right? Like, King James is Epstein. It's on the Freemasonry website. They're not even hiding it. There were over 700 books that Constantine got rid of too. So we have such a whittled down, controlled, it's not even the truth anymore. And so when you're looking for the truth of God, in my opinion, it's inside of you, right? If you need religion to teach you right from wrong, then you don't need religion. You need a moral compass. Simple as that. And so this is so fascinating though, because we know, and it's so funny. You know what airs tonight at midnight? How serendipitous is this, Lorraine? You know what airs? One of my favorite shows airs tonight at midnight. The 4th season of The Secret Lives of Mormon Wives.
Is that tonight? Look into some of their last names and how they got into the position that they're in. Just saying.
Yeah, no, they lied about Nina. I don't blame you, girl. There's so much they lied about. So like the fact that you missed one like that, they lied about so much. So don't even sweat it, girl. Don't even sweat it. So let's talk now how I was actually, now the fact that, yeah, exactly, Sarah. Sarah, you always come in with the wisest quotes. Absolutely. The truth is in our nature. It's not something from the outside. Absolutely. Listen, children running around with dirty diapers know God. They can't even go wipe their own butt, but they know God, right? they know God, they're comfortable, you know. So I know, I love that show too. It's such a train wreck, but I think it's apropos that we're going to be talking shit about Erika Kirk and her connections to Mormonism before before the premiere of The Secret Why. And I would love to one day, Lorene, go through some of these big names, like even the names of the Mormon housewives of Salt Lake City. Like there's some pretty big names here that we might need to look into a little bit, right? And I will say, out of all the reality shows, the Mormon ones are the biggest train wrecks.
I have not seen the Secret Lives of Mormon Wives, to be honest. I obviously just see like the little reels that they put out and kind of hear some of the behind the scenes. Like I'll watch Jordan and McKay. I don't know if you've heard of them. They call them, the favorite apostates is what they call themselves. They're great. But they do a lot of like recaps. So I watched some of those, but the Salt Lake City Housewives one, that one, there are some really juicy players in that one too. Gay is a very big name in Mormonism. That is royalty.
Well, and she's now doing a show kind of exposing it, which is interesting. So I think we need to one day when we get through this shit show we're in, move on to the next shit show, which is how these people got placed in reality TV, right? Like how did these people get placed where they're placed? And
some of the stuff that I was going to send you on a slideshow was talking about the two people who spoke with CK first, and they both have LDS ties. Of course, they're in Utah. Now, UVU is not as strict as BYU, where they have the code of conduct where you can't do certain things as much. But the fact that the first two people have those Mormon ties says a lot. And the second guy who went up and asked the question also spoke at the town hall that Erika went to for Barry Weiss, that interview with her. He also asked Erika a question there. So why would she want the guy who asked Charlie his last question to ask me a question? Like, I cannot fathom somebody shooting my man and then the kid who he was talking to when that happened come to me and ask another question live on a town hall. Like, how does that happen?
I mean, that would trigger you so much when
right. Well, and the ties there's a lot of broadcasting ties. And
interesting.
If you know broadcasting, there's a lot into that.
Exactly. So I guess we should back up a little bit and kind of review with the more far and the far. And, you know, this is all from Candace Owens. And I am so grateful to this. And I think, you know, we're all just walking each other home. So regardless of, and there's a lot that Candace says that I don't agree with, but with this, it is she has brings so many receipts. And I think too, the thing is, Lorraine, let's just back up even further. Like the minute anybody questions Erika now, there's like this dividing of the Red Sea, you know, metaphor where people like me, the minute she spoke, I was like, what the fuck? Like the minute my gut was like, boop, like something was way off. Something was way, way off. But then there's people that, how dare you talk about Erika Kirk? And Candace did say something. Now, again, I don't agree with everything Candace says, but I would hope that most of us here are educated enough and integral enough to still be able to listen to people and hear them out, right? Because opinions are like assholes. Everyone's got one and they all stink, right? And so
we all need to use our own discernment.
So you are absolutely welcome to feel that way, but I'm talking about her research. And so we don't do the whole woke game here where we just paint people completely bad and put them away and don't listen to them because we don't agree with their opinions. On this channel, we treat people as human beings, even if we don't agree with them, and we listen to what they have to say. So that's why we're bringing up. And Candace has brought her receipts. She has brought proof. So this is not her just speculating. This is not hearsay. She brings, listen, she is a huge podcaster. She has liability up the wazoo. So, well, we don't know that, darling. We don't know that. And that's defamation. So I would be very careful. Again, just because you don't agree with what somebody says doesn't mean that person is evil, right? That is definitely, that's a very evil thing to say about somebody, because I know you don't have proof of that. Yeah. So we're not gonna say those things We're not talking about somebody's character. We're talking about their research. And we got to get out of, I've said, Lorene, that we have the woke left, where, yeah, yeah, exactly. Hot for hot gossip. Yeah, that's her wheelhouse. We have the woke left, right? The people at the progressive left that are very hard for us to kind of communicate with. But the truther community is the woke right. It's the same thing, where they immediately name call you. They immediately put words in your mouth. They censor just like the woke left. And so we want to be in the middle, and we want to listen and hear people out, because the truth of the matter is, as Lou says, none of us really know what's actually going on. Even those who think they do don't, because we're not in the density of knowing. And so she's not
we've
a Jew.
Listen, we've all been on that MK Ultra.
Absolutely.
I mean, I probably shouldn't say the whole thing. Sorry.
Yeah,
but I mean, we all have a little bit in our schools.
Yeah.
It's everywhere.
And I'm going to push back here. She's actually not. She doesn't like Zionists. I don't like Zionists either. But she doesn't hate Jewish people. I don't hate I love Jewish people. I just don't like Zionists. So you can't, you're putting words in her mouth when you say stuff like that, and that is bad on you. That makes you look bad, not her, because you're lying. You're putting words in her mouth. She does not hate Jewish people. She has said this over. How many times has she said this, Lorene? Over and over and over and over again.
It's just like me. I don't hate the Mormons. I love the Mormons. Yeah. I have so many family members who are still in. I have a nephew who's getting ready to go on a 2-year mission, and it breaks my heart for him. Like, I want him to not go, but he has to live his life and do what he's going to do. We have to, it's all in gray. It's not black and white anytime.
Exactly. And you're right. A Zionist is very different. And so, wonderful one. I think what you're doing is you're listening to the media, and you're not actually going to the source and listening to Candace for yourself. That's what it sounds like, that you're falling for media propaganda. You're falling for fake news, and YouTube truthers are fake news as well. They're all paid by the 3-letter agency. So hence why I'm poor, right? Oh, thank you so much. Yeah. Thank you so much, Brian. That's so nice of you to give that tip to us. Thank you so much. But so I just want to say, please, if you hear something bad about, I actually just yesterday, because I was telling Lorraine, like, I've been getting these crazy comments, and you got one under yours that was crazy, of people saying that I've been saying things that I haven't said, and it's so crazy that that they're doing this now. They're buying bots that are putting comments in people's videos when people are saying something that the main narrative doesn't want you to hear, and so they put these comments accusing you of saying things so people won't watch the video. So we have to be very careful about reading what other people say about other people, and actually just go to the source, right? And so I don't agree with a lot of things that Candace believes in, but I do not believe that she is a serpent shapeshifter because we don't agree on some things. I respect her research. I will listen to what she has to say, right? And so we have to be very, very, very careful with that. We don't want to fall for the propaganda. That's what the Yahtzees used, was propaganda. So don't be a tool for the fascist Yahtzees, right? And so, yeah.
Just like we would never call Erika that either. Right. I mean, we don't know. We can look at the proof that is out there of things that she has said, and so always go to the source, see what she said, and then we can talk about that.
Exactly. And Candace, and I will say this too, in defense of Candace too, because my platform is minuscule compared to Candace's, and I know the stress that I've been under, having attacks, having threats, having to get the police involved. I can't imagine the stress that she's been under. And so when she's snappy on her show, you got to give her some grace. You got to give her some grace, because when you're threatened and your kids' lives get threatened because of what you're researching, that's really scary. And I've been in that.
And that should not be in America. I thought we were the land of free speech. What happened?
Exactly. And so we have to be very careful about that. And I don't want to do that on my show. I'm very funny about that. I want people to be able to have discussions about the research, not about the person. We're going to be talking about, actually, I will say one thing that Candace Owens's research into Erika Kirk gave me was more empathy for Erika. Listening to her research, because I realized I think that her mind is so broken that I don't even think Erika knows what Erika is doing.
Yeah, she says so many contradictory things that nothing ever seems to line up. So I think that is that dissociation, and she has it on a whole nother other level from some of the schools that Candace talked about her going
Absolutely.
to. So it's deep.
Yeah. And so I will give Candace that. Like, watching her series, I was like, oh my God, I've been an asshole to Erika in the sense that I was thinking she was evil. And now I think she's a victim. I think she's like a Britney Spears. And so I don't have a level of empathy for Eric. And that's because I listened to Candace's research. And so please, you guys, let's not name call. Listen, yeah, but you're not allowed to name call on this channel. And that's what you were doing. You were name calling. And so I'm just, you know what? We're just going to take care of this right now. I don't like to do stuff like this, but I'm not going to have this on my channel. I don't agree in name calling and abusing people. So we're just going to get rid of that because I don't, oh, did I accidentally do the wrong person? Sarah, I think I accidentally. Oh, Mercury retrograde. Sarah, if you hear me, I think I might have. Oh no, I did. Yes. Oh shoot, Sarah, I'm so sorry. I accidentally did you. Can you, Midwest Night Watchers? Is there any way, if you're still here, or Jojo, can you bring Sarah back? I am so sorry, Sarah. This is definitely. Oh, hold on. All right, so I'm going to go in my back studio office, Sarah. Let me see if I can fix this. Would you want to catch us up to Marfar and Farfar and all that kind of stuff while I do this quickly?
Yeah, we can talk about some of the lines here. We've got a post that Erika put about a place called Zion Gates in Jerusalem. And she posted that it was her family's dedication spot. So then she also talks about a cousin named Nicole Rothstein. And if you look at Candace's research, they are not really actually related. It's like through marriage somehow. And we have the genealogy that we can look at too. But her grandpa, so her morfar, is Jack Solomon, who is big in the family and has a lot of connections. He married a few people, just like Kent Francefay, who is Erika's dad. So Erika was born to Kent and Lori. Yes. That's what they say on paper.
Sarah, if you're still listening, I'm still looking at this let's go to this one here. There we go. This is from Candace's. Yes, there we go.
Yep. So you'll see Kent and Lori there, and they had Erika. And then you'll see that Kent also has a few lines that go elsewhere. So he has a few other spouses also. And a fun fact to tie that into Mormonism, in order to go to the highest level of heaven, they believe that you need to have 3 wives. So as an example, I mentioned earlier, our prophet right now of the LDS Church is Dallin H. Oaks, and he's on his second wife here on earth. So he's got at least 2, and they can probably seal the third one when he gets to heaven, unless there's one maybe, we don't know about, because they really had to hide the polygamy for a long time because it was against the law.
Will you explain what happened with that? Why the LDS Church quickly took away polygamy? Because I don't know if people actually know this, that it wasn't just some God-given commandment, was it? It was.
Well, they believe because it happened in the Bible that it's also prophecy now. And Joseph Smith, in the Doctrine and Covenants, section 132, you'll find that he went to his wife and said that an angel came to him with a flaming sword, and he would slay her if she did not go along with this plan for him to have multiple wives.
Yeah.
And as Candace talks about a lot with her research into the MK, there is something with magic and sex. And so that is from
Crowley.
Mm-hmm. All tied together. And so they had polygamy with Joseph Smith. Brigham Young took it to a next level, and he ended up having so many wives that the government came in and was like, okay, y'all need to stop. And I believe it was in the late 1800s that they finally banned it completely and said, okay, we're not going to do this anymore, which is where we get a lot of the splinter groups that still carried on that practice. People like Warren Jeffs, who is now in jail. However, he is still guiding the FLDS church and still the leader, where he got arrested because he had a wife who I believe was only 14. So this is not just marrying grown adults to each other. They framed it when I was a kid that polygamy was to help the men who went off to war. The women had to marry, the men had to marry somebody else to help support the woman. And so it was framed as the men were doing these wonderful things by taking on multiple wives and caring for them, when in reality, it was all about sex magic.
Yes. And that is, I was thinking about it today when I was taking a shower, actually, when I was preparing this for the show, all the excuses that I've been given as to why, from apologists with Mormonism, like when they were traveling out west and women's husband died, they would marry these women just to give them safety. And I'm like, you can take care of a widow without marrying her. And you got to be dumb if you think they weren't boinking these women and forcing these women to boink them.
Well, and they say that because we don't have very many kids, like Brigham Young didn't do a great job because he did not have very many kids. But that was supposed to be the whole point of polygamy, to bring forth the gospel and all, to the earth by having as many kids as possible. That's why you'll see a lot of members today who still have very big families.
Do you know who else talks about that as the quiverful movement in fundamentalist mainstream Christianity? Making sure you populate the earth like crazy. They don't do they don't do the polygamy, right?
But is that like the Duggars? Are they
like the Duggars? Yeah. The Shiny Happy People documentary. Mm-hmm. And one of the people I know from that documentary said that he didn't think that they were far off from re-implementing polygamy. And that's
I always want to get back to that.
It's and this is, I have a lot of problems with the mainstream church. However, I will say, growing up, the Old Testament is vile. Like the things they do in the Old Testament, it is literally vile. Like some of the things they do to women, I would have already been stoned to death. I'm sure most of us would have if we lived in those times. We would already be in the outer darkness together.
Not just on YouTube streets, but in, we would have
been like taken out. But I remember my mother saying, but we believe that Jesus came and broke and did away with those laws because he brought the new covenant because he was the coming of the Messiah to change it. Now we can get to the discussion of whether the real God would need to have the laws changed or not. That's a totally different topic. Who is the God of the Bible at that point? That's a totally different topic for a different day. But that my mother would say that is why we don't honor the laws of the Old Testament, because they don't apply to us. What applies to us is Jesus's laws, which were only two. Only two. Love thy God with all thy heart and love each other as I have loved you. Now, the funny thing is, Lorene, and we've said this before in a show, and I'll say it again, in the missing books of the Bible, we haven't done all 700 of them. We've only done about 40 of them because that's all we can really get our hands on. The rest of them are under the Vatican or probably under the library at the Mormon main temple in Utah.
No, they're in the vault. Have you seen a picture of the vault in the mountain?
Send me that, because I'm sure I need to go protest. Let me in. But in one of the missing books that we have our hands on, they actually ask Yeshua about relationships. Like what is, and the topic comes up with divorce, and divorce is a big issue, in Christianity, even to this day. About is a divorce okay? And we know in Mormonism, there's a whole temple, like when a woman, she's not really like, there's all these crazy things with the eternal family. And Jesus basically says, if you fall out of love with someone, divorce is absolutely fine. But then he goes on to say that the relationships, every relationship is fine except for one, polygamy.
It's interesting. And that's the one that they push the most in the Bible and in the Book of Mormon. And all of it.
Because it takes the autonomy away from the woman. So Jesus was very much like, your wives are a part of this as well, and so in that missing book of the Bible, now again, polygamy in the Old Testament is absolutely, a mainstream Christianity is done. They never talk about polygamy because Jesus came and ratified all of that, to me, it does seem like, we'll say, the polygamy in the Old Testament to me reminds me of sex transporting, as Sean Atwood says,
Carpooling.
yeah, carpooling, because these women aren't choosing this, like they're just being forced into it. So it's yeah, but I will say though, with the demonology, be very careful with the demonology book. Be very careful with King James. He was not, and everybody in the 1600s knew that he was a Satanist. This was not,
I think people don't realize that the witchcraft and this kind of magic is older than anything.
Yeah.
That is at the root base of all over this earth. And they have harnessed it in so many ways. And you can see that in the files. You can see that with the organs and the, harvesting that they like to do. And the other, Drano, as Kresha says, like it is all witchcraft.
It's all witchcraft. And I'm gonna just remind you guys quickly with King James. This is who you're talking about when you talk about King James being a good person. The state of the monarchy is the supremest thing upon earth. For kings are not only God's lieutenants upon earth and sit upon God's throne, but even by God himself, they are called gods. So
and what do Mormons become when they die?
Gods.
Of their own planet. Yep.
Do you really think James is believing in the same God you're believing in? No. And I did a whole deep dive video on King James. He was a PDF file who, I'm trying to think of a way I can say it on YouTube, who liked little boys. And because he was the king, he had people around him all the time that wrote everything he did down. So we have records of every tryst, we'll say, he had with a little boy.
Just like they're documenting it now. They have to tell us what they're doing.
Exactly.
And if we don't talk about it, if we just let it go under the rug like we did with the whole panic in the 90s, then we're just allowing it to continue. And I don't know if there is just some type of spell that has been broken, because they talk about the Mayan calendar back in 2012, and now they're talking about these looking glass schools that Candace always also brought up. Like, did they see this coming, that they knew that spell was going to break and we were all finally going to be able to know the truth? Is it because we're hitting the 250 year this year? There's so much here. So much here.
And I don't think, they say, and this is kind of good news for us, even though we're talking about dark stuff. All of these people are many things, but one we can definitely say is most of them probably have narcissistic personality disorder. And there's a reason why we're seeing such an uptick in narcissism right now, is because we're having that divide, right, between service to self and service to others. Now, the thing about narcissism is that one of the upticks for those of us who aren't narcissists is that a narcissist can never see a world in which they fail. They never consider that possibility.
And with the latter day saints, they're saints. They're already sainted. They're perfect. They can do no wrong.
Yeah. And it's so my friend I was talking to this morning, she's an attorney now, and we were talking about the wealth of the Mormon church. And this kind of gets into Erika too. And money is power. Like, I don't agree that money is evil. I think that the worship of money is evil, but I think somebody can be wealthy and be a really good person. I know plenty
and use that for good.
Exactly. Yes. I know plenty of people who are very wealthy, old family money, very down to earth, super relaxed, and they do a lot to help individuals in the community. They don't say anything about it. They just, so I just don't think that money itself is evil. but when put in the hands of a narcissist, and we know that the Mormon church, as my attorney friend said, we look at the Catholic Church as being super wealthy, but she goes, actually, the Mormon church has the Catholic Church is going to have to liquidate a lot, but the Mormon church liquidated funds on hand.
They just took out about 15 billion, I believe, from the stock market, and we're not exactly sure why, but there's something behind that. If you go to the Widow's Mite, they are doing amazing work. There's also someone named, you actually showed one of his videos the other day, Nate Apifol, who did the religion business.
Yes.
And there's a 7-piece docuseries that's very affordable, and so powerful and so good. But the Widow's Mite is very, very active in keeping the feet to the fire to the Mormon church, which they have never had done, because the Mormons are just so complacent to go along with what the leaders say. We're brainwashed with it. We are indoctrinated with it from a very young age. We sing songs like Follow the Prophet. And now you could say, you could change the spelling of prophet, because they are the richest religion on earth today. People like to say it's a Catholic Church. It is not anymore. It is the Mormon church, and they have it on so many levels. It is nefarious at this point that they have hoarded so much and call themselves a church. It's wrong.
It's wrong. And they're not, I'm not a communist, so I don't believe that you have to give everything to I think you need to have, I'm a capitalist at the end of the day. But when you're looking at a nonprofit religious organization, you're looking at taking in tithing to help the community. And tithing is a big thing in Mormonism. It's a big thing in the Christian church too, in the mainstream church. But like Presbyterian church, you're not required to tithe.
And you are required. And yeah. Apologists will come out and say, well, we're not required to tithe. We do it because we want to. No, you're told that you have to do it. And that is one of the questions in order to get into the temple. You cannot get into the temple unless you pay 10% of your income. And if you want more blessings, you're going to pay on gross, not net. So make sure you pay that 10%. And because of this, they have amassed an extraordinary amount of wealth. It's ridiculous.
And that gives them so much power over politics, power over, over government choices. And in Utah, it's become almost like a theocracy, which to me scares
Absolutely.
the shit out of me. I don't care what religion it is. Look at Iran. Like, this should never happen, because religion is man's opinion of God, and opinions are like assholes. They all stink. And it should absolutely, church and state should always be divided. We should never have somebody's authoritarian belief over who they think God is ruling over people, right? That's just not going to work. And so it's so funny, because in my notes, when you said that, I pulled out my notes from with Catherine, because I wrote down, after listening to that the guy you were talking about, and he talked about the enterprise of Christianity. And I wrote, this is the fall of the Christian enterprise, because we're seeing,
thank God. Thank God.
Like literally, thank God. What's that documentary called? Jesus Save Me from Your Followers. Like we're exactly. No, the church should not have that business. Your tax filing is none of the church's business. That is private information.
Not in Mormonism. You take your W-9s with you to your tithe. Well, they used to call it a tithing settlement. They changed the name of that recently. And that is because there are so many lawsuits right now against the Mormon church. I really believe that that's why they changed it. They like to do that a lot. They like to play with names. One of them, like for when I was growing up, we were young women. We were the Maya Maids, the Beehives were first from 12 to 14, Maya Maids 14 to 16, and then the Laurels 16, 18. But we were young women. And now looking back, like, we weren't women. We were children who were groomed to how to cook and how to clean and how to sew and make sure that we were the great little housewives that, they wanted us to be. But this picture that you have up really kind of triggered me a little bit, because I don't have a lot of childhood pictures from me growing up, but I did go to a daycare before I moved out to Missouri, when I was still, because I was born in Utah and raised until about first grade. And one of the pictures that I have from when I was that age is me dancing around in a little butterfly costume. And it's like one of the only pictures that I have of me being a kid. So when I saw this, I was like, wow, Utah is the beehive state, in case you didn't know. And here we have Erika wearing a little bee outfit. and notice her hand symbols like at
No,
that young age.
it's so funny because Candace pointed that out too. And I understand for adults, sometimes we can sit like this and not even realize it. Like I'm usually not really too keen. Because I'm like, I do things with my hands, but I've never seen a toddler sit like this. Have you?
No, my daughter is 5 now, and she likes to do this. She's always posing in her pictures like this, or the age that she is. Never this. Never
Yeah.
seen her do this.
To see a little kid, like I can understand when people show pictures of like politicians having meetings and things like that. I don't usually take it too seriously. I'm like, listen, they're probably not even paying attention, right? Especially if they didn't know a picture was, they're just having a conversation. But this was weird to me as well because it's so perfectly placed, and she's dressed in a little bee costume, and she's a child. I've never seen my nieces and nephews. Usually they're so squirmy and like picking their nose or sucking their hair.
Right. They are not going to sit like that. No.
That's weird. And I'm not blaming Erika as a little child. I think she's been programmed to do that. That's what I'm saying. So don't, I think, again, one thing that Candace's story about Erika has taught me is to have a little bit of empathy. Yeah, it is too perfect. It creeps me out. I was doing that. So I was actually doing that as demonstration. So when I did that, I was doing it as a demonstration. I think most people, y'all got that right when I was showing that was a demonstration.
As real ones, yes, know that.
Come on. Yeah, same. Yeah, community charity. And I will say, when I'm in the position, I do donate to usually local charity. Like I have a charity in India, but charities that I trust. Like I love Toys for Tots, for example, because you donate toys and it goes to underprivileged children for Christmas. So like nobody's going to benefit off of me bringing a few Barbies to a fire department, right? They're
and you're not doing it with the military or for any clout. You're doing it just to be a good person.
Just to help make sure a kid has a good Christmas. Like I do that a lot. I'll save it up. I do Toys for Tot classes and stuff. So, absolutely. And there are very disciplined through mind control. Absolutely. That's great too, Sarah. I've done this food pantry as well for people. Absolutely. It's wonderful to give back, but not when you're being pressured, when you're doing it out of the kindness of your own heart and you get to decide. That's the one thing I don't like is when you give to a church and you're not sure what the church is doing. You don't know where that money is going. And for Mormons, it looks like that money is going straight into the coffers of the upper coven of warlocks.
Here recently, they just put out a news story, and they always do this at the beginning of the year. We did so much last year. We did 1.5 billion in donations. Well, they include so many random numbers. First of all, Mormons go and clean the church every week. So they are the ones who clean their own church. They don't pay anybody to do it. They count those hours as tithing, like as monetary value of the services that they're giving. So they might not include that in the 1.5 billion that I just mentioned, but they do include it on a local level, and they include a lot of things on the major level. So they also have these giving machines at the end of the year where you can go and swipe your card and donate a chicken to somebody in Romania, we'll use for an example. And they use that money that you have donated through that as part of that 1.5 billion. So they're not just saying like the tithing that you give. They're saying everything that you donated, they gave, not you. They take the credit for what you did.
Monopolize your energy.
Mm-hmm.
That's enslavement.
Yep.
Again, that's why I don't like communism. People think, oh, it's an ideal world. We're all sharing. Well, when you're forcing people to share, that's not sharing. That's enslavement.
Yep.
And that's why it don't work. That's why it's never worked. Right. I had that funny guy that left a weird comment under your comment, was bragging about China. I'm like, are you seriously telling me that a country that has gulags is the best place to live and a social credit score? Come on. Are you serious? It's got literal gulags. Like there are literal camps in China. Like communism, everyone's always trying to escape, but no one's ever trying to come in. So, and the Mormon church started off with a communal type of living, right?
Yep. Everything was shared. Yep. Even the wives. Some people who married Joseph Smith after he was gone ended up marrying Brigham Young. Like Eliza Snow, or it's Eliza Snow Young Smith, is what it says on her gravestone. She wanted the Smith name after the Young name.
I mean, here is, I mean, we started off talking about the Mormon, the Secret Lives of Mormon Wives, a TikTok reality show. How'd they get famous? A swinging scandal.
Right. Yep.
We're talking about playgrounds, YouTube. That's what we're talking about, is they were going to playgrounds.
The swing sets are fun.
Yeah, that's what was happening. So sorry. Sometimes I forget. I get to talking and I forget that we're like on the YouTubes. We're talking about the playground in Utah, the big playground, and they swing.
They're actually making a playground out of the temple remodel that they're doing. I guess it's not going to be done until 2027 now. And
Only.
right.
Yeah, Sarah, that's what I think. At first, when I saw her eyes, I was freaked out. Now I agree with you. I think that she's being, and that's what Candace kind of alluded to. Candace said she lies so much, but it's almost like she doesn't know she's lying. It's like she's downloading things, which is MK.
Yep.
That's MK. And in my opinion, I think that's what we're getting at. If this has been happening to her since she was a little girl, she did not consent to this. And so therefore she's a victim too.
And so like when I found this picture and I was looking at it, I was like, is this why we moved to Missouri? Like I think that they might have been trying something on me that didn't work. And it was between it was in first grade. So like, let's go to Jackson County where Jesus is about to come back and she'll be all right.
I love all these ADHDers that are like, growing up, I hated having ADHD because I was like, all these people, like, I was like the dunce of the class, but now I'm really glad because I think my ADHD saved me from being programmed.
Exactly. Yes.
So I was like, that's a good point. So let's talk. So I even wrote down some stuff, actually from that guy on the podcast you shared, the guy that did the business of religion. So I said, we're looking at the fall of the Christian enterprise. I think that's why we're seeing such a divide with Erika. Erika, she's so divisive. And I think that's where we're seeing the divide in people who are still being kind of brainwashed, because we have so many, Lorene, we have so many truthers, so many people out there. And this is like a social experiment in my head that has dumbfounded me. We have so many people out there today that know that our government is messed up, that our medicine is messed up, that our education is messed up, but they still think religion is the only pure thing, especially with something like Christianity or any of its cousin religions that are the biggest religions in the world. You mean to tell me you think the biggest religion in the world somehow just went by unscathed? And that's where I think we're still seeing this divide, is because people still want to, and part of me thinks that like Candace is super Catholic, and part of me thinks that it is people clinging for some sort of answers to a confusing world now, which for me, like, the mystery of it all is what's the most fascinating, right? But I think that's where we're seeing a really big divide with Erika, is because people are confusing, because Erika sits there and she pretends to be this great Christian. Is our volume low? It might be your computer, or you might need to just turn it up. I think my mic's pretty good though. Can you hear me, Lorene?
I can. Yeah. And you can hear me okay?
Yeah. So let us know though, because that if it's not just you, because we want to make sure that our volume's okay. Anyway. So I think people are projecting their own faith onto this woman who is saying what they want to hear. And I think that creates cognitive dissonance, because there's no way in hell that you can tell me her behavior is normal.
It's just like in Relief Society. Like, we're trained, as I said, young women. And when we're teenagers, you put on that smile and you put on that happy face, and anger and contention is of the devil. And that is why I'm going into outer darkness, because this is causing contention. What I have to say about the Mormon church is contention for them.
I'll be right there with you, because I have read the Book of Mormon and I rejected it. So,
right?
So Well, it's fine. All the fun. We should make a T-shirt that says "All the cool kids go to outer darkness."
Yes, I love it. I'd wear it all the time.
We can make that T-shirt. All the cool kids go to outer darkness. Yeah, no widow act. And I know they have. Oh, people grieve differently. Yes, I will say that people do grieve differently, but this isn't grieving. This is not grieving.
No, and anybody, I mean, anybody with real discernment should be able to see that, because she has lied so much and she says so many contradictory things that none of it makes sense.
None of it makes sense. And now we're getting to the bottom as to what that is, because that's a good point. Also the source for us in Homer's The Odyssey. So, and Catherine even said she wants to look more into Charlie as well. So let's back up a little bit. I know we have so much to guys. We just talk. It's been an hour and we're still on like Erika as a baby. so let's back up a little bit. All right. So we need to talk once again about who we think, the mystery of who Erika's parents are. Now, I want to clarify this too, because I can hear the comments now, and I've been on YouTube for 6 years. I know what people are going to say. Yes, there are cases where aunts and uncles will raise children of their siblings, even when their sibling is still alive, because of certain reasons. I don't think this is the same situation here. There's various.
And I like with Nicole and them being cousins. I know when you and Catherine were talking, she was saying she doesn't know anybody who actually does do that. My friends became my family because I don't really talk to my family anymore. So I do call my nieces and nephews, my best friends, my sisters and my brothers, and their kids are my nieces and nephews. So I understand that there could be some loose ties there.
Black culture here in the South, they call their friends cousins. Mm-hmm. That's big in Black culture here. But how it turns out, if we're following Candace's research, and again, this research, as Candace said, came from her Swedish viewers, and it came down to actually Erika. Absolutely. That's where we're going to get to her Lori, which I believe Sarah is. I think they might, because their smile is the same. So I think they might be related somehow. Like she might be a distant cousin or something from one side of the family, but she's not her mom. I definitely believe that she is not her mother. And so basically, Erika herself has put up Instagram post where she calls her dad's dad her morfar. And I know it could be, she could be an aunt. Absolutely. I know that because I have my nephew looks a lot like me, right? So one of my nephews does. So I know that I have a lot of friends who have like a grandparent from another country, and they will use the language of to call their grandparent. But my brother-in-law, actually, his grandparents were from Italy, and he called his grandmother Mamooch, which is it was the grandmother in Italian. So that happens a lot. But her grandfather was legit Swedish, ties to Swedish Freemason. Like this wasn't a guy who came from Swedish stock. He was Swedish and immigrated to America. So he's gonna know, he's not gonna mess up Swedish, is he, Lorraine?
No, not at all.
He's not. So morfar in the Swedish language, mor is mother, far is father. So it literally translates into mother's father, morfar. Which makes a lot more sense because here in English, we have to specify which grandmama we're talking about because we just call them grandmothers, right? So,
we should totally adopt that here in America and just start using it.
Morfar and farfar. So your mother's father would be your morfar. Your mother's mother would be your mormor, which is what she called his wife, Elaine. She called her mormor. That's your mother's parents. Your father's parents would be far more and far. Father's mother and father's father. So why would a granddaughter of a 100% Swedish immigrant family be allowed to call her pappy, her dad's dad, her Franze, her father's father, a morfar? She wouldn't, would she?
I mean, not unless there's something that she knows that we don't.
Exactly. Ding, 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 ding. And then that's what Candace brought up the whole thing about the gate, the Zion's gate, and that being her family. Well,
She called him her uncle, who
yeah.
is tied to the
So
Jerusalem gate,
so
or
this
Zion's
is,
gate.
yeah, because Jack Solomon, so they're saying that, is it Kent is her father? I have it written down here, actually. Let me look here. I got it here, I think. So Franze, Carl, let's see, her father is, they say, is Kent. So Carl and Elaine Franze had Kent, Kendra, and Carl, 3 children. They're saying that Kent is Erika's dad. Okay. And Kent, which we're going to get to, has 3 wives, has had 3 wives, Jerry, Lori, and Carolyn is his third. Is that Carolyn is his 3rd wife?
Yeah,
So
Jerry was the first wife.
Yep.
And then it was Lori.
Lori. And allegedly they're saying that Kent and Lori had Erika. Well, that would again make Kent's dad, Carl, her far, not her Morfar. We also have these weird things about, there's no actual set date on when they got married and divorced. Is very weird. So, and with the Lionsgate thing, with these people over here, that would bring, if we're taking Erika at face value, if Carl is her Morfar, then that would mean her mother isn't Lori, but is either Kendra or Carla. And she's betting on Carla because of Carla's husband, Jack Solomon. So
and if you look at that picture of Carla next to Erika, they look a lot alike.
Well, so Jack, so if this speculation is correct and Carla is Erika's mama, then that would make Jack her father, which explains the relationship to Nicole and explains this. Because Jack was married to a woman named Edna first and had a daughter named Diane. Diane then would be Erika's half sister. Diane then had the daughter Nicole, which would be Erika's niece. Now, if they're around the same age, which it sounds like they are, they might have called each other cousins. But it's a very intimate family relation.
Yeah, I had a friend growing up whose uncle had a kid, and they called each other cousins, even though they were like half. I don't remember exactly how the relation worked, but they were cousins, even though they really weren't.
Yes. Well, and that's Sarah. So Jack Solomon is also Jewish, and he went to school at the same place where Charlie was unalived in Utah.
Which started as Utah Valley State College and then turned into UVU. And he graduated there when it was Utah Valley State College. And I was trying to get a hold of my mom this morning to talk to her because I'm pretty sure she worked there before when it was Utah Valley State College and after when it was UVU. So I really want to know if she ever worked with this guy or like has any recollection of him. But he started it was the Center for Jewish Studies at UVU and was on the board. He did a Norman Vance Advanced Patent Technology for slot machines and gambling.
They're all into gambling. Like they're crazy into like racehorses and gambling. The Franze side as well. Her mommy handler. So we've got Uncle Daddy, Aunt Mom, and Mom handler. Lori, her family is all sorts of ties to. Listen, Lori Franze's family makes my family look so unbelievably boring. Like her granddad was doing drive-bys with the cops, getting, running the numbers. Like that is some juicy. If your grandmama is getting arrested for running numbers, I want to talk to you because I want to hear what your childhood was like, because that is crazy.
It's got to be a crazy story. But yeah, Jack is the Mormon, is the biggest Mormon connection.
Yeah. And Jerry. So then we have Uncle Daddy, Daddy Kent, Uncle Daddy. This sounds very Mormon, doesn't it? Uncle Daddy, Aunt Mom, like
sister wife.
yeah, sister wife. I don't know, sister, cousin, niece. Like who are these people? So Jerry Franze, his first wife, she was all sorts of tied up into Mormonism. She got pregnant as a child and then married the guy, brother
At
cuz.
14, yep.
Yes, it's crazy. I actually sis, you should have been a detective. I actually text Crusher today, but I know it's early, probably early for her to see if she wanted to join us. I haven't heard back from her, but please tell her that we are thinking about her today. We can't wait to do a show with her again. But yeah, brother cuz, we should make up t-shirts with this as well. Like my uncle dad, my daddy uncle.
More far, Uncle Dad.
Or far. So, so it's crazy. And I had to, I mean, I was doing it again. I had to like get my little board out and write it all out just to see in my head and how this actually, because the fact that Candace could hold this in her head, I was like, dear God. And yeah, that was at one point that would happen, but this, when she had her baby young, the father, the baby daddy was an adult. And Candace brought up a good point. She was like, the fact that this woman has not condemned this obvious child SA, is very concerning. Now, Jerry Franze would go on to end up working in gender studies. She would
she was actually SA'd as a kid.
Yeah.
Is supposedly.
And she would go on to work with John Money, which I've heard of this case before. This is the sickest son of a bitch. I mean, he's in competition with a lot of sick people, actually, at this point. But John Money, I remember this when there were two twin boys. I don't remember the case, but I remember watching documentaries on it. So John Money was really, really pioneering this idea that's so normal today, that's being pushed down our throats, that gender is fluid. He was one of the pioneers to push this. And there were these two twin boys that were born, and one of the boys had a botched circumcision. So John Money came in and said, just turn him into a girl. We'll raise him as a girl. It will be fine. Well, it wasn't fine because this little girl was a boy, had a wide chromosome, and ended up unaliving themselves. Like, it caused all sorts of problems. Is one of the biggest cases to prove that gender actually isn't fluid, that it is biological, right? You know, now depths of femininity and masculinity, I think, are a little bit different, but you are biologically, you know, so the fact that, I think a lot of people kind of started to look at circumcision differently after the John Money case was released. But so anyway, but this guy, this sick son of a bitch, worked very closely with Jerry Franze, uncle brothers, uncle daddy, his first wife. And she was super Mormon, and they moved. So before her and uncle daddy divorced, they moved to Arizona, to the place in Arizona where one of these Tezzeret looking glass schools that Erika ended up going to, MK school, specific. I mean, that's what it is, right? It's an MK. It's basically you're sending your child knowingly to an MK Ultra school. She founded that school, helped find that. Wasn't she one of the founders of the school? Her uncle dad's first wife. So auntie stepmom. I don't know.
Right. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know exact connections either. Like, I still need to dig into it a lot. But what I wrote down was that her last name was formerly Pitts, and that she grew up in that strict Mormon family, moved away at 14, and came back 6 months later and said that they wanted to move home and had a baby. So did she actually move away because she was in the strict Mormon family, got pregnant, but she also had that abuse growing up, which unfortunately is very, very common in the Mormon church. And it's very, very common. And if you need more information on that, more proof, please go to floodlit.org, because they have all the proof you need to see. They have all the court documents from the very beginning.
And this is just a speculating, Lorraine, as you say that, because we know that SA, when you're really, 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 really young, can cause like disassociation and split personalities. Do you think this happened to Erika?
In my opinion, allegedly, yeah, I do, because it is generational. It is passed down through generations.
Me too. I think that because I've studied the way the human mind. So with people who have like, I think they call it dissociate disorder now. It's a fractured mind. Yeah, it's a fractured mind. So they used to
So
call
that
it.
you can keep your multiple personalities in different boxes whenever they need it. And the first time I ever learned about that was somebody that you recently had on, Kathy O'Brien,
Yeah.
where I learned about that, because she goes into a lot of detail about how all that works. If you want the proof, she's got it.
Part of the Project Monarch. And yeah, now it's
Mhm.
called DID. Back when I was a kid, it was called multiple personality disorder. And basically what, layman's term, the way I was taught, the way the human mind works is that when we're below the age of 5 and we're starting to explore our world around us, and we start to learn that in different situations, we have to kind of portray a different side of ourselves. And so when we're little, we're starting to learn these different characters at play, at sleep, serious church time, when you're at church, playtime. We start to learn these different, now in a healthy environment, all those different characters we learn to play in different situations morph into one person. So the mind starts to realize different situations require different interaction, and it all becomes one person into a grown up, where we know we're the same person in each situation. We just know how to socially act. But if you abuse a child enough before the age of 5, this very natural process of learning how to be a different person in different situations becomes literal different people. And it's the Monarch program. And so they literally, when they switch out, they don't remember what the other personality has done. And I do agree with Kathy O'Brien when she says that we cannot hold people under this type of mind control responsible for what, because they don't know they're doing it. And so I take her, I absolutely, because she knows about this stuff. Specifically for me, I'm glad that I don't have that I've definitely molded into one person, with all my faults. I definitely molded into one person. For all my parents' faults, at least that didn't happen. At least that didn't happen.
Yep.
Um,
For me, really, I'm grateful for that, because that really could have happened to me. Disassociation is taught, again, from a very young age. And even like, so the first time you go through the temple, you're given a new name. So it's not just on the baby level, it is literally throughout your entire life. And they call each other, when you go to church, brother and sister by their last name. You don't go by your first name, you go by brother or sister. You call the elders in your church brother and sister. So
isn't
it's
that interesting,
all,
Lorraine? And also that's
now that we're, yeah.
because
Hmm.
if you have somebody that's you're uncomfortable with or has done something to you, but you're having to say brother, it causes a very different reaction. We don't use, I know Jehovah's Witnesses, I think they do. If any JWs are in here, let us know. I think sis, you should have been a detective. I think you were a JW. Don't you guys use brother and sister as well? That we don't do that in the Presbyterian Church. And I have such a problem, Lorraine. I will say this. I know a lot of people go off and get like spiritual names, like Ram Dass, but Ram Dass also would go by Richard Alpert too, his real name. He went by both. I've always had a problem with that though. I will never take a spiritual name. I won't do it. Don't, I'm not, my name is Bryce.
And
That's,
especially with the temple conversation that we had not long ago,
yeah.
what other names are you bringing in? Which, I mean, I've thought about that also with CK. How many times has he already been through the temple now? Because
Interesting.
baptism for the dead, and they're trying to harness this energy. So how do you harness that energy? Through the dead.
Yep.
That's just the reality of the life or the world that we are living in, unfortunately. And because we haven't called it out for so long, because it's been hidden in the dark and in these secret societies, it's continued on for
To
so
innocent
long.
people. And I want to shout you out, Wendy Day. I know how hard this must be for you to have, and Lorraine's in the same situation you're in, to have grown up thinking that you were doing what was right. And I applaud you for having the strength, like Lorraine, to look at all this and really look at it. That speaks a lot about your character and who you are as a person. And I just want to applaud. I know, Wendy, that this is hard for you. And I want to applaud you for that, because that really speaks to your character and the fact that your core morals and your core integrity are really, truly intact, because you're willing to look at the activity you were raised in and change course if need be. So I want to applaud you, and anybody watching right now who's has had to do the same thing and walk away from something they thought was a good thing, and then had to that takes a lot to change. And so I want to take a moment to shout you guys out, because we see you, we know how hard that is, and you have a safe community here. We don't judge. We might judge a little with the assholes that come in and tell us we're going to hell. I might judge a little bit with those people, but so yeah, I just want to shout you guys out that we understand and just applaud you, Wendy. We applaud you for taking it all in. So anyway, but yes, so with Erika, it's all, once you see it, you can't unsee it, right? It's not something that you learn it and then you forget it. Like, once you see it, you can't unsee it. And I do think too, Lorraine, especially like when we were kids, we were always taught to just kind of respect other people's religions, and we all have freedom of religion, whatever. But I heard a Canadian patriot on TikTok say this recently, talking about Canada and the state that Canada's in, and how, you can't polite your way to freedom. I think it's the same thing applies to some of these religions now. We can't polite our way into fixing this mess. We have the truth is belligerent. And if we want to save lives.
And that's literally what this is about. It is about saving lives. I've actually even mentioned the necromancy to my mom, because I don't think she should be going to the temple, but I can't change her mind. She's going to do what she's going to do. And that was one of the first things she did on her 80th birthday not long ago, is went to the temple. So she's going to do what she wants to do, and I can't change that. But I can talk about what I know, and hopefully wake up either my siblings or my nieces and nephews, or be a safe place for anybody else who feels like they need to talk to somebody, because a lot of these things that we're talking about are not common in the XMO community. They want to dumb all this down. They don't want to talk about the SA on the main big platforms. There's two big, huge platforms that are the main XMO community, and they don't want to touch it with a 10-foot pole. And I understand it's a hard conversation to have. It's not fun. It's not easy to look at. But if we don't look at it, things will not change. And I want a better life for my girls. I don't want them to be stuck in this prison of whatever it is. So I'm going to do everything in my power.
I mean, she's in an extreme prison, but like, this is what this is. And so, I definitely, and the more knowledge is power, and knowledge protects. The more we talk about it, the more Kresha talks about it, the more channels talk about it, and just keeps talking about and keeps talking about and keeps they lose. The Mormon church slowly over time is going to lose power. Right now they have a lot of power, right? I agree with you. Boomers do seem to be extra brainwashed for real. I do think that that's my mom's generation. My mom was actually one that got really mad at me when I said something was weird about Erika. And
my mom did too. She was like, you could not believe that she had something to do with that. So I haven't even brought it up again, because I know she worked there. Like, that is very emotional for her. She talked to somebody that day who was on campus. So it's very, very crazy.
Crazy. My mom actually did watch Candace's series and like apologized and said that we were right. I was like, I kind of rubbed it in a little bit. I was like, we have not been wrong yet. Like, let's be honest. Tom and I are doing pretty good over here. Anyway, all the shit we've all been through with our conspiracies, we deserve. I saw the greatest meme. It was like with the meme tweet, whatever. With the Epstein, everybody thought 6 years ago we were trying to tell people about the PDF files running the world, the satanic PDF files. They all thought we were crazy. Well, now that everybody knows that's true, they still think we're crazy. Like, you can't win, right? So but nonetheless, here we are. We just have to keep talking about it. Keep talking about it. Keep talking about it, because that is what loses their power. Money only has so much power when people are able to be brainwashed. But if everyone just walked away, like if the Daddy Warlocks, well, that's what we're going to call the leader of the Mormon church, Daddy Warlock. when Daddy Warlock is calling his men in, but there's no congregation left to do their whimsical stuff with, the wards are empty. What good is that money then? If we just say, no, thanks. No, thanks. We're good.
That's the biggest piece of it, is people taking back their power and saying, no, I'm not going to give you money anymore. I'm not going to give you 10% of my income. And if you believe in tithing and the law of tithing, great. Give that 10% to somebody local who will really use that money for a good cause. But as long as you, and like you said, I'm not going to be nice about it anymore. As long as you continue to give 10% to this multi-billion-dollar corporation, that it is the corporation, or the president of the corporation of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints is this guy's like official title.
Daddy Warlock.
It's a corporation, and you are blindly giving your money for them to perpetuate these abuses. And that Mormon Mafia book is a great place to go look at some actual facts. Floodlit, you can go look and read first. I love reading court documents. I know it's a weird thing, but that is first source material.
They are, I love court. That's how I get most of my research from. You get the juiciest shit from court documents. Sarah, I want to shout you out quickly. I'm so sorry. We will absolutely keep your mom in our thoughts and prayers. And I'm gonna back what you just said to what Wendy just commented. I'm not going to give to the church my money anymore, or go to the Mormon temple, giving away my energy. That's you taking your power back, Wendy.
Yep. That is step one.
Yeah, you're not turning your back on God. I have said it since the beginning of time, and now I've always been pretty open-minded about God. Anyway, there was a lot that the church said that I was like, I don't think so when I was a kid, but I was like, oh, that doesn't sound right. The more I
have so many books here. I'm trying to find the right one, but this is a good book to start with for leaving, because this goes over some of their hoodwinks, the main ways that they do what they're doing, because it is Masonic. So that and finding and learning about it, that is how another way you can take your power back. That's step 2, because then you can really dig in and figure out why it is, and help break those chains. Like, there are literally prayers in the back of this book to go through. So like, my great grandfather was probably a Masonic degree of some sort, because Joseph Smith was, and he was allowed to marry him. So there's all these ties. And so by saying these prayers, hopefully I'll be able to break those chains that are on my genealogical line.
Well, I think a lot of us, like, I think the fact that, we do have family karma, and sometimes family karma is not what you think it is. You're not responsible for your family's actions. But I think what I'm doing, speaking up about it on my channel, especially being born on the same day that my 33rd degree master great grandfather was born, and here I am doing Esoteric Atlanta, that's definitely a karmic course correction. So it's not that I'm paying the price for it, but it is course correcting it, right? And so I think don't freak out about like the karma of your family. It's just, no, you're just gonna like set the record straight at this point, right? And so I think again, yes, just knowing where this whole unwinding of even the Protestant church for me has actually brought me closer to God. It's brought me closer. Because all that pomp and circumstance has just dissolved. And I'm back to understanding the God that I understood as a child.
Yeah. And I never really understood God, because the God I was taught was Mormon God, and he's an asshole. So right. It's a man. Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
He's a man. Thank you for putting that piece for me. Like, it's a man.
Why are you going to trust man? Why are you going to trust a man?
Because they have the discernment. That's what we're told. They can discern
Mormon
for you.
Mormon God is an SEX addict. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. To populate their own worlds, you kind of have to be, right?
Right. Like Mormon, I'm never going to put my trust in man fully. I mean, there are some humans I trust, but I'm not going to put my salvation in the hands of a man. That's one thing where I say mainstream Christianity does it. Now, who that God is in mainstream Christianity, that's still a big question mark. But they don't teach that God was ever man. And so I think that is a huge missing link for a lot of Mormons, is like, whoa, let's back up now. Because all these other religions that are of the Abrahamic, I was going to say bloodline. Maybe that's a 40. I don't know. They all taught that God was not man, that God is not was never human. Like, whether you believe he came as Jesus or not is a different story, but actual God in heaven or wherever is not human. And that is so much more. I feel like you can have such a deeper trust when you know the thing you're believing in is all knowing, all loving, doesn't make mistakes, and created you as the miracle you are.
Right. And now I can see that he's always been there with me, even when I left. He was pushing me to leave and have these experiences where I wasn't, making the best decisions in my 20s, and I was out partying all the time and, doing things like, learning who I am is basically what I did. And then he gave me a man who truly loved me. And by finding that real love, helped me find God and like really integrate him and know that he's not punishing me. Like my being raised Mormon was not a punishment. It actually did me a lot of good. And I have a great work ethic because of them. But I'm just so grateful that I'm on the right path, and hope that others will join us and find the real God.
Yeah, and that's my thing through yoga. There's this great video that, Rich, if you guys, it's on YouTube. You can put just type in yoga ruins your life by Richard Freeman. It's like a 5-minute video, and it's fascinating. Richard Freeman's an old school teacher, and he talks about all the things that yoga ruins for you. Your samskaric life, right? All these things, these illusions start to dissolve. You don't have a sense of fashion anymore because you want to wear more comfortable clothes. All these things. And one thing that's so profound that he says, he goes, you stop taking very dogmatic views on religion, because what you're doing on your mat is getting to the heart of what all religions are looking for. And you're finding it within yourself. And that's why I push exercise so much. Listen, it's in you, boo. Like, it's not out there. It's not in the Mormon temple. It's not behind. You don't have to wear a silly costume with a green apron and go stand in a temple to find God.
Which is also Masonic, by the way, in case you didn't know.
You can go to the bar down the street and find God. Yeah. You could be sitting on your bathroom floor, crying your eyes out, not knowing what to do, and in that moment find God. God is everywhere. Like, it is everywhere. And so you don't need to pay Daddy Warlock at the top of the Latter-day Saints church money to find God. God doesn't care about money. You are a miracle and you are worthy, and your messiness as a human. That's one thing I talked about my friends this morning, about the perfection that's demanded in Mormonism. We don't see that in the mainstream church as much. Your messiness, where you're imperfect, that is what makes you so unique and so beautiful. And that's where
it is perfection culture on all levels. Like, if you have your daughter or your son in sacrament meeting and they're making a noise, you are expected to take that kid out. And if you can't control them, then you're judged a little bit for that. They are very, very big on making sure that everything is prim and proper and perfect.
You really think God's prim and proper?
I mean, obviously not. Have you looked at the world these days?
I think God has a massive sense of humor. I used to say when I was a little younger, I'd say, I think God gave us alcohol as an apology statement. Like, I'm sorry, this is rough. Here's something to take the edge off.
Or like you were talking about the other day, marijuana.
Exactly. Yeah, see, Sarah, anything that triggers you to find that peace, that's where God is. I mean, that could be at the Viper Room on Sunset Boulevard, right? Like, it can happen.
Dancing in the rave room.
Exactly. It doesn't have to be sitting in uncomfortable magic Mormon underwear for us in Protestant church with our pantyhose, our control top pantyhose, while we listen to somebody talk about a story from the Old Testament that happened 5,000 fucking years ago and is gross anyway. Although Samson
translated through a bunch of other people, so who knows what story it really started as. It's like the telephone game.
Exactly. Now, I was telling you, do we want to talk a little bit about, do we want to go a little bit more into Jerry Franze, or do you want to talk about, since Islam is so in the news, do you want to talk about Islam and Mormonism in the relationship.
Either way, I do need to take a quick break though. Do you want to do an ad?
Yes, go take a break. And thank you for my little, I
Yeah.
forget to do ads. So thank you. Go take a break. And guys, let's go ahead and while she's taking a break, before we get into Islam and Mormons, I'm going to play a quick ad for Fusion Body Studio. You can use my name, Bryce20, to get 6 months, 20% off your first 6 months with us, but you also get the first week for free anyway. And we've got a whole new sound system now. So our videos are getting better and better and better. So here we go. Here's our ad, and then Lorene will get back and we'll go into Islam and Mormonism. If you think bar is easy or that it's not for men, this workout is going to change your mind. I just released a brand new 60-minute bar for men class on Fusion Body Studio, and this is hands down one of the highest demand workouts we offer. This isn't about aesthetics. It's about strength under fatigue, control, endurance, focus, the kind of work that exposes weak links and forges real power. This class is fiery, full body, and unapologetically challenging. Leg shake, core lightens up, upper body works non-stop. And yes, your mind will want to quit before your body does. You'll need something stable, a chair, a table, or a wall. Optional props include light dumbbells, a bar ball, or a resistance band. And just so you know, the music has some explicit language. This is grown-up training. This workout was shot on location at Ashtanga Yoga Atlanta in Atlanta's historic district. And the energy is real. No filters, no fluff, just work. If it gets too intense, walk in place, breathe, then jump back in. That's part of the training, learning how to stay present under pressure. And despite the title, women can absolutely do this class too. After all, strong is strong. To kick off the new year, you can get 40% off a one-time purchase using discount code NEWU26 at checkout. But the offer ends on January 20th, 2026. All you have to do is show up, do the work, and see what happens when you stop underestimating bar. Fusion Body Studio. Train your body, train your mind. I'll see ya in class. And because it's Mercury retrograde, I played the wrong ad. Sorry about that, guys. But just use Bryce20. We now have chair classes as well for people who are injured or maybe have something going on. I've got a few chair classes up, and the class that we shot yesterday live, that is now the replay is now up on the website. In that class, I also showed modifications. And so I know it's totally a Mercury retrograde. So
I didn't even realize you did a class yesterday. You did a live class?
We did a live class, but we're trying to test out because we have a new sound system now with the body mic. And this has been a pain in the ass, you guys. Like, I have so much more respect for people who do these workout videos, because trying to get the music with the vocals to play has been a challenge for us. And in our live class, we've got it playing through the video, but to film it, to pick up the music, my mic, and for the people in the live to hear, we still have some bumps we need to work out, to iron out. But the replay is up on the website now. And so it is a bar fusion class, but because we have a student right now with a broken foot, so we also, I showed how to use a chair, how to do a whole bar class with a chair, sitting down. There's always options. And that's because my intention, like, we are a fitness boutique online, but with fitness, I don't really, to be honest with you guys, I don't really care much about the health stuff. Like, that's great. I'm more interested in the spiritual stuff that's going on. That's my intention when I work with people, is to really work with their own energy and to find that strength within, to clear the chakras, to strengthen the bandhas, to feel the vayus, to meditate the mind. That's where the real magic happens. And that's my sole interest as I know the health stuff. I know the anatomy to keep you safe, but I'm really interested in helping people understand that exercise is not a punishment. It's not about you being, you're not being punished for having a body, for aging, for gaining a few pounds. You're learning how to work with yourself, and sweat is a beautiful thing. And so if you're interested, guys, you can use my name, Bryce20, and you get the first week for free anyway to try it out. We will always do that. We want people to be able to try it, to make sure that they like it before they commit to it. And we got a lot of stuff on there, don't we, Lorraine?
It's amazing. You have so many videos. It is like it's hard to pick sometimes which one I want to do because
It's
they're
like
all so good.
it's Baskin Robbins. You can pick. We just also released a new series for the full membership, Myths of Asana, which is really dear to my heart because speaking of religion, this is why I actually love Hinduism so much, which is not an Abrahamic religion, is because I love the fact that their mythology isn't literal. It's about you, and it's you learning your strength. It's you learning your strength as a person, and that's really deeply affected me as I was going through my journey in India. And so we're starting that series now too, for people to learn these stories, learn the meanings behind some of these exercises from a deeper spiritual level, from a motivational level, beyond just like running birds calories, right? Like beyond that. So we know, so all right, should we get into, because I know that I was telling you about this and you didn't know much about this, and I think it's interesting. And I will say, guys, since Iran is in the news right now, I want to also give a disclaimer that I saw somebody say this on my chat, and I saw this on TikTok, and I agree. There's a difference between Muslims and Islamists. I grew up with a Muslim family that were really good friends of mine. I still love them. I would do anything for them. They were very assimilated into, my friends were born here in America. Their parents were from Northern India. They dressed like, they're very Western, like they were very assimilated. They had Christmas trees up at Christmas. So I understand that. And there's extremists in every religion. I mean, look at Westboro Baptist Church, right? So I want to say that, but I do believe that Islam, the extreme version, Christianity, Mormonism, Judaism, the extreme, that is part of that New World Order control. I believe anyway.
Yeah, the pillars.
The
All
pillars.
those religions coming together. I sent you that video the other day of a woman who put something out about the project that they're blue with the beam
Yep.
that they're trying to push on everybody right now.
The holograms, yes.
Yeah. So speaking of Erika, before we get into the Islam stuff, there's a lot. I mean, the fact that she was just put on this Air Force, what is it? The board of, I can't think of the name off of it.
Yeah.
But
did you text it to me, or did somebody text it to me? If you
I
guys
have it written down. I need to.
Some governmental board.
It's
Air Force Academy Board.
Yeah. So
the Air Force Academy Board.
Why exactly? That is very confusing, but not if she has some connections to those Tesseract schools and Project Looking Glass and time travel. And when you talk about Space Force, what are we really talking about? Is it that time travel stuff? So in digging in some of this, what?
Is it the beam of blue?
Yeah. Yep. And is she helping usher that in with this board, with the Air Force and what they're putting out in the sky and the way that they're pushing these AI data centers everywhere so hard and so fast? Is that to help so that make sure we all see what is going to come up into the sky? Erika, Kirk is actually, did you ever hear about this? Like, that is the name, same spelling, of the governor of Florida's wife.
From like centuries ago or decades ago, right?
Yeah, it was, early mid 1900s. They called her Madam X. Yeah. I know. So when I saw this connection, I did the same thing. And they look awfully similar. So if there really is such a thing as Project Looking Glass and time travel and Tesla technology, is all of this tied together with that? And is she really somebody who does that?
Let me pull it up for you guys. Here we go, just so you guys can see who this person is. So they do look a lot alike. So this is the same thing with like Taylor Swift and Anton LaVey's daughter as well.
Yep.
And Lou, and some of our private channelings with Lou, he has talked about bilocating. So what happens is they bilocate, they traumatize a child enough to bilocate them, to split them into twos. And then they take the extra and they put a demon in it or a Lizzie in it.
Yeah.
Take it for what, that's the cloning they're talking about.
It's wild. Why? Like it feels like a movie. It doesn't feel like it's a real thing, but that's why they put it all in our movies, right?
Exactly. It's crazy. Well, I will say, so I was saying, so let's look a little bit since Islam is so in the news right now. So let's say prophetic founders claiming new revelation. Joseph Smith from 1805 to 1844 founded Mormonism after claiming angelic visitation and divine revelation. Muhammad from 570 to 632 founded Islam after receiving divine revelation from the angel Gabriel. Similarity. Both religions begin with a single prophetic figure who claims direct revelations from God through an angel. Joseph Smith said the angel Moroni revealed the plates and that became the Book of Mormon. Muhammad said Gabriel revealed the verses that became the Quran. Additional scripture beyond the Bible. Both religions believe that God continued revealing scripture after the Bible. In Islam, it was the Quran and the Hadith. I hope I'm saying that right. The sayings of Muhammad. Mormonism, it's the Book of Mormon, Doctrines and Covenants, and the Pearl of Great Price. Both traditions argue that early scripture became corrupted or incomplete, requiring new revelations. Restoration of the true faith. Both religions claim they are restoring the original religion of Abraham. Islam teaches that Muhammad restored the pure monotheism of Abraham. Mormon teaches that Joseph Smith restored the original church of Jesus Christ after a great apostasy. The restoration idea is central to both religions.
And there's a whole book of Abraham in Mormonism where Joseph Smith got a hold of some papyri and translated is what they called it, but the book of Abraham, where he had to sacrifice his son.
Yeah,
and that is part of the main scriptures.
What God? I'm sorry. What God would be like, you know what would be fun? Take your child whom you love and just kidding. Like right before you're about doing, just kidding. Just kidding. I was just.
But that's the Christian religion.
I know.
Which is based on a sacrifice.
Which I'm like, okay, that's a different discussion about who is this God that we're actually talking about? Like, because that's not my experience with this God. So that's traumatizing. Well, the strong morals and lifestyle codes, this was interesting, Lorraine, and I'd love to hear your thought on this. Okay, so both traditions emphasize structured daily religious life. Islam, no alcohol. Mormonism, no alcohol. Islam, modest dress. Mormonism, modest dress. Islam, structured prayer. Mormonism, structured prayer. Islam, dietary rules, halal. Mormonism, dietary rules from the words of wisdom. Islam, community discipline. Mormonism, church discipline. Both communities emphasize family obedience to God and moral conduct, sacred law and social order. Both religions historically developed systems where religious law shaped society. Islam developed Sharia law. Early Mormon communities in Utah function with church leadership deeply influencing civil law under Brigham Young. In both cases, religion was seen as a complete social order, not just a private faith. And this is where the problem really, really, really is. And where I think that Mormonism, Islam are going to have way more hold, even though I think Christianity is part of the NWO. In today's society, most Christians, unless you're like a weird, funky sect, are very much, this is a private faith. It's not a social structure. Where in Mormonism, I mean, look, Utah again, what is a theocracy, really?
We're having city council meetings right now where they're praying at the beginning of the meeting. That should not be allowed. That is not separation of church and state.
Absolutely not. It should be a private, and even for the Christians and for the Mormons. In the New Testament, Jesus goes pretty apeshit about the Sadducees and the Pharisees. See you later, Sarah. Have a wonderful day. I hope the rest of your Wednesday is not as Mercury retrograde as this chat has been. So we just gotta laugh about it, right? Jesus in the New Testament gets really upset about the Pharisees and the Sadducees publicly praying. He demands that prayer should be private. It should be private affair. That's what Jesus said. So Mormons, Jesus, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, Jesus said this should be a private thing done privately. Islam, the call to prayer, 5 times a day out in the public? Now, they don't believe Jesus was the son of God. They think he was just a prophet, but they still respect him as a prophet. So if you think Jesus is a prophet, shouldn't we consider this? That even Jesus yeah, no, you should not be doing this publicly. All right. So let's see. This is where I get now we're going to talk about polygamy. Historical practices of polygamy. Both traditions allow plural marriage. Muhammad had multiple wives, and early Islamic law allowed polygamy. Still practicing in Iran, they're still practicing polygamy in some of these more extremist. That is actually part of what triggered the Islamic revolution in because Iran's been at war basically since 1979 because the Shah, they were Zoroastrian, and the Shah, their little pockets of Islam were marrying 6-year-olds, practicing polygamy, were breaking country law. And the Shah was like, you guys are free to practice your religion, but you have to respect country law. And that caused the Ayatollah, the mullahs to come in, and because of religion, because they were putting sanctions on the Muslims. What are we seeing now in the Western world? The same thing is starting to happen, right? All right.
Well, Mormons like to go into cities and change the laws. So, because they believe in following the laws of the land. So they go into these cities and they rezone things before the city even knows about it and builds a temple in the middle of a neighborhood for their people.
It's so the similarities, once you see them, are striking. And you can see that New World Order enslavement, communistic control, can't you? So we know that Muhammad had multiple wives, and they still do, and were fundamentalist sects of Mormonism. In Islam, but same in Mormonism too, right? Early Mormonism practiced plural marriage under Joseph Smith and Brigham Young. Now it was discontinued by the main church in 1890 because they wanted to what? Become a part of the United States.
Yep. They wanted to be their own theocratical state. Is that a word? Theocratical.
They needed the support of the USA. So they're like, actually, we had a revelation because the United States was like, we can't have this polygamy shit. And so Utah was like, funny you should say that. We just got a revelation for God that he changed his mind.
He does that a lot with the prophets.
With the Mormons, doesn't he? Funny.
Well, the last prophet said you shouldn't say Mormon anymore. And now this one is kind of walking it back and going after the biggest podcast. Yep. Who is named Mormon Stories, because they don't want them to use that name, even though we're not supposed to use that name anymore. But when I grew up, I sang a song called I'm a Mormon. So that still pops up in my head. So I'm still going to use that term because I was brainwashed with a song called I'm a Mormon.
I'm going to still use, that's what people know. People know the Mormons. It helps distinguish between the different groups, right? And yes, children should know. And that's what the Shah was like, no, you can't marry 6-year-olds. That's what started the Islamic Revolution in Iran, is because the Shah basically said, you can't be a PDF file, right? So all these woke people and some truthers that are defending the Ayatollah Khamenei, you're defending someone worse than Epstein. No, he's not in Epstein's emails, but that's because everything they did on Epstein's Island is legal in Iran because of the Ayatollah.
And they're picking and choosing what they put out. They're not giving us everything.
I started following back in January. I started seeing these videos being released from Iran of people protesting and revolting, like going into the streets and rioting. They had enough of the Ayatollah. And then the Ayatollah shut their internet off, shut their power off, so they couldn't but videos were still getting out. And I kept trying, some of the people I filmed with in January, I was like, do you guys see what's going on in Iran? Like, this is historic. Like, they're revolting and no one wanted to talk about it. Even in the truther community, the conspiracy community, because it wasn't on the mainstream. They're like, whatever. I was like, no, like, this is big. Like, they're clogging, like thousands of them are out there, like revolting with no weapons because they don't have weapons. And they were being executed by like 40,000 people in one day, were mass executed. They were begging for help, putting up signs, Trump help us. US, help us, please. Help us, please. I was pissed because I'm like, they're asking us for help. Like, we need to go help. Like, we have the means to help. I don't mind. Use my tax money to go help them. These women are getting raped. If you get raped in Iran, you are then executed for being unchaste.
It's like in Mormonism, they have a whole book called The Miracle of Forgiveness. If it is better to fight to the death than to lose your virtue having let somebody do something to you. It is victim blaming.
Because women can control that.
Right. It's our fault because I'm showing my shoulders or maybe a little cleavage.
I mean, it's so funny. I've seen actually woke liberals, because a lot of the Iranian women who come here, they wear very loose clothing. And there was this woke person calling them all hookers. And it's like, literally, you're the side that always says, well, it didn't matter what she was wearing. And I agree, it doesn't matter. And if you go, there's a museum that puts up women's clothing when they were assaulted, and it's usually just like sweatpants and it's crazy. It's the amount of hypocrisy and doublespeak is absolutely insane. And so, yeah, when I heard a what's sad to me, Lorraine, is Trump derangement syndrome is a very real thing, and it's caused people to, I think, lose their moral compass. Don't let your hatred for one man cause you to condemn the liberation of an enslaved group. Don't let that ego, that pride of yours, because you hate Trump so much. I don't like Netanyahu. I don't trust Netanyahu. I love my Jewish friends. I don't trust Netanyahu, though. But I can appreciate that he assisted in liberating these people, regardless of what his motive was. They're now becoming freer as the day goes on.
And what do you always say? What the devil uses for evil, God will use for good?
For good. And another Iranian said it this way. American, I watched his video today, and he explained it so well. He goes, if you're drowning in the water, you don't care which lifeboat you grab for. That was what was happening in Iran. They don't care. They needed help. They needed rescuing. This is not a war. This is not Afghanistan. This is not weapons of mass destruction. This is a different motive. They were asking for help, and Trump did not start a war. This war has been going on for 47 years. And for at least 2 months, they have been revolting. And just because TV didn't show you that doesn't mean it wasn't happening. Right. And I can't, like, all these, even with like the truthers, the awake people who are condemning the removing of the Ayatollah, I'm like, he's worse than Epstein. He's worse. I mean, like, what are you talking? Show me. I'm like, is it? But and I can't, Lorene. I can't even, like. First of all, it doesn't matter what their religion is. That's like somebody saying, "Oh, we don't need to save the FDLS kids because they practice polygamy." Let them marry 8-year-olds because that's their religion. Shut the fuck up. Sit down. That's an 8-year-old child.
Right, and we need to change the laws literally everywhere in America, because right now it is still legal if your parents consent to marry. I believe it's up to 14.
That needs to be changed.
Yeah, I don't even know why it's like we're living in backwards land, because that should be the one thing that we can all agree with. You leave the kids alone. They're kids.
You can't help what religion you're born into. And I literally, and I hate to use the racist card because I hate when like the woke left does that to us when we're trying to question things. But when I saw truthers condemning removing the Ayatollah, I thought, because they're Islamic. Well, first of all, they're not Islamic. They're Zoroastrian. They were forced to be Islamic. So tell me you've never lived under a dictatorship without telling me you've never lived under a dictatorship. If someone puts a pew-pew to your head and tells you to change religions, you're going to change religions. But even if they were Islamic, you're telling me that those little kids don't matter? I thought you were for save all kids. I thought we were supposed to be protecting the kids. But because they're a different religion from Christian, they don't matter as much. And I'll even say it. We're going to do a show on this later, guys, but I told this to Lorene. We did talk to Lou about it, and I'm just going to reveal what Lou said. It was pretty enlightening, wasn't it?
It really was, yeah. And all life matters. It doesn't matter what color or religion or race you are. We're harping on the Mormons. Again, the main Mac Daddy, what do you call them? I can't think of the word now. Yes, thank you. Yes.
They're all part of the same club, right?
Right. They all got the same playbook from the same demon angels that came to visit them to give them whatever books they told them to write to enslave us.
And what was the first statue that they burned down in Iran? The statue of Baal. There was a Baal that they were burning down, the protesters.
And they framed that like they were celebrating, like that was a
They're
they were I saw some news stories like they were celebrating Baal and that's why he was on fire and that's why the Iranian people were like, we are so programmed with whatever they tell us, and half of the time, if not more than half of the time, it is not even true. Look at 2020 for a prime example of all of that.
Regardless if you think Orange Man bad, if you can't be appreciative of the liberation, and Trump didn't go in there and liberate, Netanyahu didn't go, our military did. Israel's military did. That's who did it. That they just called for it. And so so don't let your Trump derangement syndrome, your hatred for one man, cause you to condemn the liberation of another, because that makes you worse than the person you hate.
And nobody is going to agree with everybody 100% of the time. So I don't understand why everybody has gotten on this bandwagon of you have to agree with everything that they're putting out in order to watch that. Like, it's just wild. We all have different views and we all come from different backgrounds. So we're going to have different point of views. And that's what makes it great. That's what I'm trying to teach my girls. Like,
that's what
accept everybody. And
that's what makes us a free society. That's, and I think, I would hope that morally we would agree that liberating enslaved people who want to be liberated is a good thing. Like rescuing children is a good thing across the board. And I'm not a fan of Obama, but if Obama had done this, I would be really grateful. So I'm not a fan of everything Trump does either, but I'm grateful. I'm happy for the Persians. I'm happy seeing people crying on the streets and thanking God that they're finally free after 47 years. The Persian Empire has given us so much as a planet. That civilization has given us so much that we owe it to them. We owe it to, all life matters. And
nobody is free until everybody is free.
If one person is enslaved, we're all enslaved. And so what Todd and we're going to do a show later. He just walked in, you guys, if you hear him moving around. He's about to take Robbie on a WALK. Sorry, we have to spell the word like he's 5.
Right.
So I don't want you guys to hear him freaking out. But we asked, because so many of the truthers or white people were like, Iran is just a distraction from the Epstein emails. And part of me was like, aren't they both kind of equally valuable?
And maybe distractions for each other. I don't know if you watched Candace last night, but she mentioned there was a meeting supposedly right before they were released. So there is a lot going on that we have no idea and we will never know.
So Lou said that basically, and let me explain, guys, before you freak out in the comment section, because I'm going to explain, because I asked, like, what do you mean? Lou said that Iran was not a distraction from the Epstein emails. The Epstein emails were the distraction from Iran. And I was like, what do you mean, Lou? And he said, where do you think all the money is for the New World Order? It started with Hitler, but once that was pulled apart, it moved to the Middle East. It's the Ayatollah. They have billions.
And to Utah.
And so taking down, Lou was like, you're never going to see justice for the Epstein emails until the Ayatollah was taken down. And we're still in the process, because I think it's actually kind of comical, and I feel like I can laugh at this because these are terrible humans. We're watching people in Tehran film this. They're asking for them to be like, they're asking for, I can't say that word. They're asking, if you're asking for the BOM, bead, you're in a bad situation, but they're filming it, and the Americans have not, and the Israelis have not taken any civilian life of the Iranians. The Ayatollah has, but they haven't. And my thing is, like, we could have done this all along. We could have just gone in and removed this big CANCER all along. We don't have to have the pomp and circumstance of war. We could just go in, like, that's a new way. That seems pretty good. So I find it kind of comical, because every time they take an Ayatollah out, they elect another one, and the guy only stays in office for like 3 hours. Right. Can you imagine those mullahs? They're like, not it. They have to like draw straws. And so they're just sitting there and they watch this. The people in Tehran will film the smoke coming out, like the Pope does, saying they picked a new Ayatollah, and they just wait a few minutes and it's just like a game of like whack-a-mole, and I'm like, and yeah, that's still out there too. Mexico. I actually want to do a show with Catherine on that because there are a lot of truthers that have been promoting people go to Mexico instead of communes. But it's like, aren't you doing to Mexico what you claim immigrants are doing to us? You go in and you don't assimilate and you demand they speak English. So isn't that a little hypocritical? So
There is something that reminded me of this. There is a Mormon faction of in Mexico, and there's a president who was going to, or somebody who was running for president who was a mainstream Mormon. Don't really want to say his name because it's probably a triggering name. It's the Romney, and
yeah,
his family helps run that. Recently, his I believe it was his sister or sister-in-law was recently off of a building, supposed, self-inflicted, but we all know that might not be true. But there is a family of a man named Richard Holiday, and that's Halliday, and he was actually also, because he was a whistleblower for this faction in Mexico, and they have a whole website that they're continuing on his whistleblowing, even though he's not here, because he put out those fail safes to where if he was gone, the information would still get out. So they are putting a lot of information out right now of all of the Fort Huachuca and all of the connections with Fort Bliss, which and Mexico, Mormon factions.
Yes. So imagine, so my thing is like, watch as the Ayatollah gets completely uprooted. I wonder if Mormonism is going to lose some power.
I think they are. I think that we have already been seeing that because they're losing their grip. To say, I have notes from the new prophets or warlocks first talk that he gave, and it was just so uninspiring. And so I'm confused on how there are so many people still under the spell of thinking that these men are great and wonderful. Like, he helped BYU do projects on gay men by attaching things to places on their body and making them watch things and then shocking them. For abuse, it is so abusive, so abusive. BYU is abusive on so many levels, but he was the president of the church when that was going on.
That's disgusting. Well, I mean, that's what gets me, like the gays for Gaza. I'm like, you would be thrown off a roof if you went. I don't think you should be, but you understand what you're trying to protect. Like,
right.
Just because you're being contrary, do your research. Like, this is crazy. And we know that homosexuality and Mormonism is still there's like, it's one of the yeah, crazy. It's one of the I'm trying to watch my words. Prolific abusers of homosexuals today, I think is. And the Christian church has had its run with that too. Don't get me wrong. The mainstream church has had the pray the gay away camps. I actually know someone who's kicked out of his home for being a Protestant home for being gay. I think now the mainstream, not the fundamentalist sects, but mainstream is pretty okay with it now. But we're seeing so much. Isn't there a high self-unaliving rate
in Utah? Yeah. And David Archuleta just actually put out a book called Devout, where I don't know if you heard of him. He was the runner-up on American Idol. Yeah. And he finally left, and he put out a song, We'll Go to Hell Together. And I listened to it on repeat for days. It's such a good song. But he just recently put out a book called Devout, talking about his situation and how he was brought in to Mormon leadership and had relationships with them because they thought he was going to be a kid with a lot of money. So we got to bring him in, make him on our side.
It's just the control, and that's the service to self. So if you guys have not read The Law of One, what we're seeing right now so drastically is that divide between service to others and service to self. And unfortunately, I do think so. There's a lot of religious people that will fall into the laws of forgiveness and will go service to others, even though they're still a little brainwashed. But the ones that are absolutely massively trying to control other people, like think about the woke left and the woke right, they're all service to self. people who are censoring, who are gaslighting people, who are going around putting words in people's mouth, are saying someone's bad just because of their family. That's control. And that's
abuse.
what was the name of the book about leaving Mormonism and being Masonic? Have a friend who needs this for her son. He's fixing to marry a Mormon. So what book was that?
Unmasking Freemasonry and Removing the Hoodwink is the name of it. That's the cover.
I think it would be really hard. What do you think, Lorraine?
It's by Selwyn Stevens, if you couldn't see that. Selwynr Stevens. And you cannot deny the connections of Mormonism if you've been through the temple all the way. I did not make it all the way. I will not be going to the Celestial Kingdom. So, but I have seen the video and I know what they do, and it is this.
You were like, I was good with the baptism. You're like, that shit was weird. I'm not going back. I don't know what I did, but I don't feel so good.
I do not want those demons attached to me. No, thank you.
Don't think I want to do that again. So I in marrying a Mormon, I think that would be hard. And I don't know what you think, Lorraine, if you are not a Mormon, marrying a Mormon, do you think that would be really difficult?
That was a big thing when I was researching all of this, like with Dr. Jerry. She was raised in a strict Mormon household. So I can only assume that the person she married was also Mormon. You are very, very much encouraged to marry in the temple to another Mormon. You do not want to go outside, and they even say things over the pulpit like, do not take counsel from those who don't believe. So once you're in this marriage and you've had all these kids, you're kind of stuck. And if one stops believing, like I have a couple siblings right now who may not believe, but they're still with their spouses who do believe. And so that causes contention and some cognitive dissonance, because you're brainwashed to believe that anybody outside is not good. So all of these ties come back together. You are very insulated, just like in the JEW community. You keep that money internal. You keep everything internal, and with those who are the same religion. It's a very big deal.
Well, and I will say too, so back with Erika, you think that Ken is Mormon? Her uncle daddy?
I think that they, all might be, at least some faction, if not the main.
Now, do you think Charlie Kirk knew that when he married her? I think she was placed.
I think they both kind of. So because of how he started, and there was, the man who helped him start, instead of him going to college, he chose to start TPUSA. And they started influxing a bunch of money. And when he started pushing back on what they wanted him to do, look what happened.
Well, I was saying that to Catherine too. I was looking at some of TPUSA because I never really followed. I always respected Charlie Kirk. He always had really good answers. I didn't agree with all his views. I didn't really follow TPUSA. But so I went to look
at just having those conversations are major, and they've completely gone opposite of that now.
Nothing but respect for him for what he was doing. Even though I didn't totally agree with everything he said, nothing but respect. Like he was a true American in that sense. And and they have gone completely opposite. They don't encourage, Charlie said, to question everything. They don't encourage that at all now. When he he had donors from the beginning. At like 18 people were putting money into him. Now there's also there's two people who helped him start it, and Montgomery was one. Do you remember the two Nick guys who helped him start it?
I don't remember the name.
For a different day. I need to look into these guys because I know that Candace. So this goes back kind of to the Looking Glass school that Candace was talking about that Erika went to. Now Charlie did not go to a Looking Glass school. He went to, I think, a charter school.
I mean, but a charter school, what do we know? And same thing with Mormon missions. What do you learn on your Mormon mission?
Right. And that's what I was, in the United States, I went to a private school. They didn't do this with us, thank God. But Todd was tested. And his parents stopped in and stopped him from going into this program for the gifted. And according to what he remembers, is they would do stuff that was literally like astral projection looking back. They would have a picture of something. And they'd hold so it would be white paper here, and they'd have the kid describe what was on the other side. Todd described what the picture was without seeing it. So whatever he said was correct, even though he couldn't see it. So they're looking for people with psychic abilities. Lou told us because I have a really a really good sense of direction. Like that's one of my really weird talents. You can put me anywhere and I can feel it in my body. Like Todd has a terrible sense of direction, but like
I'm terrible.
well, I'll ask him like you can't feel a pull of where to go. He's like, no. I'm like, oh, well then Lou said that is part of a seer. So there's different like abilities, different siddhis when it comes to psychic abilities. So even though Todd's bad at directions, he obviously could see the picture. My abilities, he said, Lou said that in government schools, so not in private schools, I was safe from that, but government schools, public schools, as we call them here in the United States, which are the free schools, they will send government workers to the playgrounds to watch the kids play because they can see in the bodies of how kids play, the kids that have my ability to feel spatial awareness. So they can watch kids play and see how they move within their spatial awareness of directions on the playground as to what kids have the ability that I have. And then they pull those kids.
I think we have a lot more abilities than will ever put out in public. Just like we have the 12 cranial nerves. When I was studying those back when I thought I was going to become an RN, I'm like, we only have 5 senses. So why do we have to, like, there are probably at least 7 more that attach to those cranial nerves.
We have 10 according to Hinduism, 10 senses. I can't remember all of them now, how they call them at the top of my head, but yeah. So that with and that's interesting. I'm also there's been a lot done with identical twins. That's interesting. So that's directional awareness. That's kind of what I have too. But I also know that that expands out too. As Todd has said, I have spatial awareness in my body, like really good body spatial awareness, which actually helps me be a teacher. But I think that comes from the same thing. And so a lot of us it's almost like, remember that show Captain Planet, which is actually from Atlanta, with our powers combined, everybody has a different power, right? That's what they're looking for. And Charlie apparently had some like those abilities too, that Candace said. So he was obviously picked for a reason. Now for me, I need to look more into Charlie. I don't think his background is as shady as Erika's. I think he was pretty innocently just going along, thinking that this was just great. And it wasn't until he pushed back and was stepping away from the Zionist cause that he got taken out. Yeah, absolutely. And I just think that she doesn't actually, an ex-Mormon called To Moroni with Love. Have you heard of this book?
Mm-mm.
Years ago, an ex-Mormon gave me a book called To Moroni with Love. This might also be a good one for Mormons.
I might have to look that up.
I think Moroni is a Lizzie, to be honest with you. I think that's a demon.
Yep.
So
I agree.
So I want to go to here. So what we have with Islam and Mormonism as well, which we're going to talk about more, I think probably in the next video, about Romania and Tyler and the Mormon missions. If you want to, Lorraine, I can actually see Kresha might want to get involved with that one as well. But Islam does the same thing where they send missionaries out. Yeah. Now I want to go into, and this is something that I found preparing for this. And I asked you, Lorraine, if you'd heard this, you had said no. So I was going through ChatGPT to have ChatGPT organize some stuff for me. And it popped up and said, hey, there's a possible historical connection. Hold on, make sure I got the right one here. Yeah. There's a possible historical connection between Mormonism and Islam that is something historians occasionally discuss. Between the structural parallels are unusually strong. This does not mean Mormonism came from Islam, but there are intriguing overlaps and possible influences, which, if we know that these are 2 pillars of Satanism, this is interesting, right? So 1, Joseph Smith likely knew about Islam. Joseph Smith lived during the early 1800s when America was increasingly learning about Islam. Books about Muhammad and the Quran were circulating widely in the United States.
He was also learning Hebrew, which is not something a young dumb farm boy learns.
Right. Exactly. They say some historians believe Smith had been aware of this because the prophet with the new scripture model was already known through Islam. So did he get inspired by Muhammad? Muhammad also took multiple wives, young
I think
girls.
he grabbed a little bit from a lot of different places, and this is one.
The prophet restoring the true religion. Both founders claimed that the earlier religions had fallen into corruption. Muhammad taught that the Jews and Christians had distorted the original message of Abraham and that the Quran restored it. Joseph Smith taught that after the death of the apostles, there was a great apostasy requiring restoration through new revelations in the Book of Mormon. Now, he wasn't wrong. There was an apostasy, but Joseph Smith wasn't in my opinion, wasn't the answer to that problem. The restoration narrative is one of the strongest parallels. Angelic mediation of scriptures. Both religions say scriptures came through angelic messengers. Islam, Muhammad receives revelations through Gabriel. In Mormonism, Joseph Smith receives revelations through Moroni. Okay. In both traditions, the prophet acts as a translator or receiver of divine words. A new sacred civilization. Both founders attempted to create an entire religious societies, not just spiritual teachings. Muhammad established a religious state in Medina, which I believe turned into Mecca. Joseph Smith attempted something similar with Mormonism communities in Nauvoo and later continued followers in Salt Lake City. Both movements tried to build a new sacred city governed by divine law. Polygamy as a religious principle. Both prophets practiced plural marriage. Muhammad had multiple wives according to Islamic tradition. Joseph Smith introduced plural marriage with early Mormonism, which continued under Brigham Young. Because of this, critics in the early 1800s frequently called Mormonism the American Islam. Did you know that, Lorraine?
No, I did not, but that makes sense. That totally checks.
I did not know that. Guys, in the chat, let us know if you knew that in the 19th century, other Americans referred to Mormons as the American Islam. 6, Joseph Smith was actually compared to Muhammad. During Smith's lifetime, critics openly compared him to Muhammad. For example, an 1840 American newspaper described Smith as the American Muhammad. Even some Mormon leaders embraced the comparison. Brigham Young once said Joseph was a prophet like Muhammad. That's interesting. If both these are two huge tentacles right now of the New World Order in 2026, the Ayatollah, Utah. I would love to actually look at the parallel lines of Tehran and Salt Lake City. I need to do that.
That would be interesting because, you know, the temple in Salt Lake City was built on one of the main, I don't know which one off the top of my head, but yes, on the main line.
For our next
which is
show,
why they're redoing this big, huge renovation because they're trying to make sure it's earthquake proof.
Yes. Before our next show, let's look at that because even looking at this, what Lou has said about the Ayatollah being a huge power source for the New World Order. Now I'm wondering if there's a parallel between the Salt Lake City. We need to look at that.
Yes.
We need to
definitely
compare I want to now also compare the geographical structures of a temple and a mosque. Even though they look different from the outside, I want to compare some of their rooms and see if you are an ex-Muslim or a current Muslim and you want to give us information about the mosque, will you please contact one of us and let us know? Because I've never been into a mosque before. They're not going to let me into a temple either. But just saying. But I think I would have a better shot at faking my way into a temple than faking my way into a mosque. So I want to. We might be unlocking something here, Lorraine. Lou might have just something here. All right. Both religions expanded the Abrahamic narrative. Both religions add new sacred history to the Bible. Islam retells biblical stories with additional revelations of the Quran. Mormonism adds an entirely new narrative of ancient Israelites traveling to the Americas in the Book of Mormon. Both traditions claim extended biblical history into new geography and new scripture. Okay. So interesting, isn't it? What do you think about that?
It's very interesting. I mean, all of these religions are tied together. I didn't realize that these two were so close, but Scientology also. It was started by a man who was told to write a book.
Exactly. If you want to make money, what did L. Ron Hubbard say? And let's talk about their connection to Aleister Crowley, the sex magic. L. Ron Hubbard worked with Aleister Crowley specifically. I can, yeah. I don't know if they'll. You know what's funny? Firewater by Design. When so every 10 years, I get a new visa for India. So I have to go through their embassy to get my visa, and it's every 10 years. So it lasts. So it's worth the hassle because then I can have 10 years. But every time I have to fill out the paperwork, there's such issues with Pakistan and India that I have to like go through this whole process of proving I have no allegiance to Pakistan. And I'm sitting in these office, I'm like, do I look like I have my last name's Watson? Like, do I look like I have any allegiance to Pakistan? But I don't think they'll let me ever let me into Pakistan because I have visas to India. So yeah, so that's funny that there are people in Pakistan with blonde hair, blue eyes. That's a crazy the Pakistan story. What's it the book that was written, The Children of Midnight, when they divided the line between India and Pakistan with the Hindus and the Muslims, and there's a lot of conflicts between the Hindus and crazy conflicts.
Religion just causes all of this conflict.
Yeah.
Why is that? Because I've heard like Ted Cruz going out and saying like this is bringing Bible revelation, like all of these wars. This is great. And when I was growing up, we were talking about wars and rumors of wars that we would hear all the time. Why are they pushing so much destruction?
People who are super religious, in my opinion, can be very bloodthirsty. And
especially when they take body and
cannibalism
every week, that sacrament.
Yep.
Yeah.
We were talking about it with Laura as well from the Cassiopeians, and she's totally against, obviously, the whole, which we're going to do a show on that because the Cassiopeians said that Mormonism was the most correct religion. And so that basically proves that they are Lizzies and so now she's freaking out about the Ayatollah being removed, even though she's supposed to be a good person who wants freedom for people, but except the Iranians, keep them enslaved. But I think when Todd was laughing and he's like, she's just bloodthirsty. I think when people are so prideful in their beliefs, look at Westboro Baptist Church. And I think there's a fear there, right? Like if what if I'm not wrong? And that fear is projected as violence to shut people up because I'm right. And I have to convince myself that my view is right. Because I feel like, Lorene, when people are really comfortable with what they believe, they're not really affected by other people. You know what I'm saying? Like when they're really comfortable with their beliefs, they're not super affected by other belief systems. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah. And just like, no, what people believe about me or think about me is none of my business because I could care less. I don't talk to half of my family. So what some random stranger says about me, like it is water off my back.
Just be the mysterious. I read somewhere, I'm going to start, because I'd be keeping journals of things going on for like my sister's kids' descendants to have a record, of handwritten record. And part of me is like, I saw someone post this once and I was like, that's a good idea. Part of me wants to add some really weird shit in there. Just be like, tonight I danced naked on peach, like, so that they would have stories to tell and be like, have you heard about this great aunt? Like, look what she was like, just totally make shit up. Just be like, yeah. Let's see. I have a close friend that's Mormon. Yeah. And like we're saying, like I'm the same way with people are like, Bryce, when you pass these churches, do you say things? I'm like, no. Why am I going to say? I say things on my show because we get on our shows to give our opinions and our research and to talk about things. But out in the world, if people aren't asking me my opinion, I'm not gonna bother you. We have JWs that stand at Piedmont Park interest all the time, trying to proselytize to us heathens. And Todd's always like, are you going to say something to them? Are you going to say something? I'm like, no. If they ask me something, I'll say something to them, but I'm not going to bother them. 9 times out of 10, those are really good people who think they're doing the right thing and they would never hurt.
Just like the Mormon missionaries that are out there that are young kids that don't know what they're doing or any better. They're just doing what they're supposed to do and what they've been told to do in order to get to heaven and be with their family for forever.
Yeah, exactly.
Be kind.
Exactly. Just be kind. It's not besides the giving of money to the church that's causing some problems. It's not the just everyday congregation members that's the problem. It's the daddy warlock and his coven.
and the quorums of the 12 and the 70 and the 50 that a lot of people don't know about.
Yeah, that's the problem. And so it's not your love of God that's that's not the problem, right? It's
It's
not
the
the Muslims,
secrets.
it's the secrets, and it's not the Muslims that have integrated into the West and appreciate being Westerners and wear Western clothes. They're not the problem. It's the extremists that are the problem. And so they pull from these religions that have these old doctrines of extreme control, and that's how they push the New World Order. And it is scary. It is very scary. If the New World Order had it their way, we would all be living like Iran, and they'd be taking our 6-year-old girls and using them. We talk
And I
about
think Mormon already does that. Like Mormonism really literally does that with their kids by sacrificing them to this organization and to things like the trek that they have them do every year.
which is we know now is spell work because they're exercising, right? Okay,
And the
cool.
book that it's called, the book about the Mormon handcart trails, it's called Devil's Gate because of the mountain that a lot of them died on. But it's a very interesting book about a man who went and like looked at the journals of the people who lived through it. So it's heartbreaking.
So Deborah just did a quick search. She said the two cities have similar latitudes, but not the same parallel. I don't know if Tehran, I just said Tehran out of my ass, basically, because that's like the capital. I need to look and see where the Ayatollah lives and like where the main mosque is. I think that's what we need to be. Thanks for doing that, Deborah. I think we
and
need
the Vatican.
The Vatican. I think we need to look and see what type of connection there is between. I need to, if I have anybody in my chat who is Iranian or knows a lot about Persia, and the main mosque that maybe, I mean, I don't know, is there a main mosque? And I need to look at some of the markers in Jerusalem as well, I think. And see if we can see something that maybe Lou's the one that hinted at this, like you're not going to get justice for Epstein until the Ayatollah is taken out, basically. Like the two can't exist, because if you try to get justice for the Epstein emails with the Ayatollah still in power, there's going to be a lot of money and control there with that oil as well. And that's one thing Todd brought up, like who cares if Trump wants the oil? We'd rather have a Westerner controlling the oil than China, because if China controls the oil, we're fucked. We're fucked. And so I think that has a lot to do with it too. So once we have that control, where it's not in control of maybe the dirty players, they're not going to be able to fund the false flags or the psyops to distract us from justice, is kind of what Lou was alluding to. Like things have to happen. And my thing too, Lorraine, is unfortunately a lot of the victims, unfortunately a mass majority of the victims in the emails are no longer with us. Unfortunately, we're looking at unaliving charges there as well. But in Iran, we have people still alive. And so that's kind of the priority, is to save those lives before we can get justice here. Funny story, I was saying they get them and then they replace them and then they get them again. And I think we're on our third. Somebody said I took a 20-minute nap and woke up 3 Ayatollahs later. Yeah, it's bigger. It's bigger than that. They want to say it's way bigger than that. I think I'm glad we're all on the same page. Like we're talking about control. And I would rather honestly, I would rather any Westerner have control of that than China. China's scary. China's
We
terrible.
actually care about freedom.
Yeah, exactly.
Some of us do.
So, yeah, some of us don't want to live in communism with gulags. Like, who wants to live in a country where there's actual gulags? Do people even know? Do kids today even know what a gulag is? Like,
oh no, my phone's gonna die.
Oh no. Well, you know what? We've been on. We have so much more we want to talk about. I think we should do a Tyler show, Lorraine, where we just talk about Tyler and his Mormon roots and Romania and Mormon missions. I think this was a good starter story on this Mercury. We've had such a Mercury retrograde episode, guys. So yeah, it's not a him. I always call him. I always see in my head, Lou is like my gay uncle. Todd sees, that's how I see him in my head. So and I can text Kresha again too and see if she wants to join us so we can talk about Tyler.
Yes.
Tyler actually, what's his last name again?
Boyer, Bower. Y-E-R.
So Tyler seems a little bit more scandalous than Erika, because whereas Erika, I now believe, I don't think she knows what she's doing. Tyler, I think he knows what he's doing.
Well, their stories aren't matching either, because Tyler called her, or she called him, an old family friend. He said at CK's memorial that she called him to go to the Trump rally in 2015 because she just wanted to quote unquote help. So there's some background stories there that I really need to dig into more.
Yeah, there's a lot. None of them, a lot of their stories aren't like, if you're going to be a public, if you're going to lie, at least be a good liar. Like, at least be a good liar. So I think okay, so I'm going to put that on my to-do list for our next episode. I'm going to look into I really need, I think I could probably find information out just through research, but I'm serious. If there's anybody here watching that knows a lot about Iran and the geography of Iran and like where their main mosque is, where the mullahs go, where the Ayatollah goes, please contact me. And I'm gonna really try to connect it with this Salt Lake City temple, and or maybe even there's another landmark we're missing that I can just look at the longitude and latitude and the parallels to see if there's
I'm going to look at the different temples too, because maybe not just Salt Lake, but where they put all of the temples. They're
right.
all over the world.
And who's to say they could have the main temple in Salt Lake, and that could be a distraction.
Yeah.
They do that, right? Where the big shit's happening somewhere else. So yeah, exactly. We don't want to become dependent on the government. We don't. If you allow the government to take care of you, you allow the government to control you. Yeah, I definitely can't wait to get into. He kind of scares me. I'm not gonna. He kind of scares me, Tyler. I wouldn't want to be.
I don't remember. There is a picture, and I don't remember if it was Candace or I saw it somewhere else, but I believe it was Tyler Boyer with, or maybe it was Chris Cabot. It was one of her boyfriends with CK at a dinner back in the like early 2010s.
Really?
And they were making a couple hand signals that were very interesting. So I'll find that picture for next time too.
That is fascinating. I will do that. So I'm going to put that on my to-do list. I'm going to look a little bit into the guys who funded Charlie to see if I want to see if there's any Mormon connections. That's what I'm really interested in. Yeah, I know it's in Saudi Arabia, but because of the Ayatollah connection with control of the New World Order, I want to look. I can look and see if there's a connection, like a parallel with Mecca. That's Saturnalian. The cube comes from Saturn, but that's also the square we wear on our heads when we graduate, is that cube that they pray to at Mecca. That's also why judges wear black robes. So it's already here, guys. This Islamic regime is already kind of here with the New World Order, with our court systems, all that kind of stuff. But I want to see. Yeah, I know. I'm wondering, because sometimes we know they put distractions up. So I was wondering if we're missing something. And I just feel like there's a bigger connection between Utah and Iran. And so I thought Skinwalker Ranch.
I thought the same. Yeah, I thought the same thing about the Salt Lake Temple too, though. Like maybe there is some of that was already there, or a semblance of it, right? That kind of, yep. And some of the symbols on the temples, like they have the pentagram upside down on the Salt Lake Temple, and so I think part of that is also like scrubbing some of that off.
You know what? Too, I'm just Skinwalker Ranch in Utah. I wonder if that parallels.
Yeah.
In Iran, because I won't go to Skinwalker. We really, our dream is to like get an RV. I think I know for Venus is on the flag of a lot of Islamic stuff. They're Venus, even though they do a lot of Saturnalian stuff. They also look at Venus. Oh my God, your sister! I could never. There are certain paranormal stuff that I can't do. And Skinwalker Ranch, I have so much paranormal shit happen to me. I would be so afraid to go near Skinwalker Ranch.
I'm the same way. Yeah, I don't want anything to do with it, but they are all Mormons that own it. The main guy who owns it is Mormon.
I want to know. Tell me, was he?
Yeah, he is. Yeah.
There's just something here. I need to look. So it might not be the temple. Salt Lake City temple could be a Tartarian thing, and that's just what it is. Let's look at other stuff, because there might be a connection that we're missing. And so I'm going to do that before our next show. I'm going to look and see if I can find that. Again, if anybody here is watching is very familiar with the geography of Iran specifically, I can look at Mecca as well, but I'm more interested because of Lou said something about the Ayatollah. So I really want to check and see if there's something in Iran. That's Persia. I mean, hello, that's Persia. Persia is one of the greatest empires. That's the Cyrus the Great, you know?
I don't know much about that.
Well, the funny thing is Cyrus the Great freed the Jewish people from captivity in Babylon.
Oh.
He's the only big leader in the Old Testament that is honored as a prophet of God who isn't Jewish. And so a lot of people are saying that this is a karmic cycle, that the Persians freed the Jews from captivity, and now the Jews are helping free the Persians. And I'm talking about the real Jews, not the Zionists. I'm talking about the people, the enslaved people are now helping free the Persians from captivity.
That's very interesting.
So we have a statue of Cyrus the Great here in Atlanta, actually, at Atlantic Station. So, Grant, okay, thank you. Let me write that down. I'm going to write that down. I'm just going to check around. And again, because there might be something, of course, I'm not the geography of Iran. I'm not an expert because you guys might not know this, but I've never been to Iran. I don't think they'll let me in, but I have been through the Middle East. I go through the Middle East a lot to go to. I used to love going through Dubai on my way to India, but my last trip through Dubai, I never wanted to go back. I was scared. There was something in the air that was weird for me. And so the Middle East can be a very scary place. So unfortunately. So I will.
But it's why it's so important that we're having these conversations to get comments like that to help guide us in the direction that we need to go to find it all.
Your sister just ignores Skinwalker. See, I would never, I could never, deplorable daughter. I could never. I would be so shit scared. I'd be like, what's that? Like I would turn into the most paranoid freak. I would just think a squirrel running across the front yard was something. So so we're gonna this could open up to some very interesting stuff. I want to know more about the owners of Skinwalker because holy shit. I
did look into them a little bit. So I have some notes somewhere. I'll find them.
Okay, awesome. All right, girl. Well, I'll talk to Kresha too. We'll plan another video and we'll get into Tyler. We'll get more juicy. Thank you guys for being patient in this Mercury. Here we go. Hold on one second. This looks interesting. I live in Utah and I've looked at the Logan Temple and it has an interesting creatures. Do you know this temple? Are you familiar with the Logan Temple?
Yeah, I've heard of it. There's a lot of temples out in Utah. They just actually tore down one of the main ones, Provo Temple, and that was a different one. It looked like a big bowl, and they completely tore it down and are redoing the entire thing. And a lot of people were really up in arms about it because they literally destroyed the artwork and all of the wood, every piece of it. They didn't want anybody to have any piece of it at all, so they destroyed it.
Interesting.
And completely rebuilt it.
I definitely I think even if we find out some of the stuff was really bad, I think some of it needs to be a little bit preserved so that we can study it and we can understand what it is. Because if you erase it, chances are people are gonna repeat it, right? So
yep.
Sage it, cleanse it, but we need to keep some stuff around so that we can study. Knowledge is power, right? So anyway,
but they don't want us to have that.
Keep them dumb, right? Keep them dumb. Oh man,
we're not dumb. We're American and we're scrappy and we're smart and we're figuring it out.
We threw tea in a harbor. And what's that Australian that talks? There's an Australian comedian that talks about how badass Americans are. You threw tea in a harbor and you fought the British with a couple of pitchforks and Mel Gibson and you won. And then you said, screw you, England. We're going to serve our tea cold with ice.
Love it.
Yeah. If they do believe it hold power, they won't let it go. I think, yeah. But if they're destroying something in there, taking the remains elsewhere and using, we know that happened with Constantine's mama. She did that shit. So that's part of it.
We also have lots of tunnels and underground things in Utah. There's a lot of that.
Yeah. Yeah, and packs of sugar. I'm like, keep the sugar. I like sugar. Keep the sugar. so anyway, we love you guys too. At least we're able to laugh about this dark shit. But I definitely, guys, we need it because we need to go deeper with this, and I'll talk to Kresha too, and we'll do our homework and we'll look at, because there is such a Lou's the one that I told Lorraine when he brought that up. Lou never ceases to amaze me, like stuff that Lou says, and it's shocking, but then you think about it and you're like, oh, that makes sense. Like that absolutely makes sense. That's common, that, he always says, kiss, keep it simple, stupid. So Todd and I are actually going to do, Lou said for us to do a, oh no, we put lots of sugar in our tea down here in the South. Put lots of sugar. Lots of sugar. It's my grandmother from South Georgia used to put pineapple juice in her sweet tea as well. So that's a South Georgia thing. So when Lou said that he wants us to do a show where we look at the Cassiopeians and really talk about extreme Islam being New World Order, and how Lou and the breadcrumbs, and that the Epstein people are thinking that Iran was a distraction for the Epstein. No, they threw the Epstein emails out to distract us from what was happening in Iran, because once Iran falls, it's go time. It's go time. Yeah, I'll see if I can find the recipe my grandmother used, my dad's mom. It's in South Georgia. You might actually be able to find it online. I don't know if that was her specific family that did it, but it's sweet tea and they added pineapple juice to it. So
I think that's really good.
It's a very different tasting sweet tea. Yeah. Let's. Oh, I'm sorry you have a migraine. Blame it. I always blame it on Mercury retrograde, even if it's not Mercury retrograde. I blame it on Mercury retrograde. So it's some planet's fault.
Geoengineering.
I know, right. So anyway, guys, be looking out for that tomorrow on. And if you have not, Lorraine, have you put your first video up yet?
I have a couple videos up. Yes, I'm working on it.
Girl, let me go to your channel.
Because it's some work. It's going to take some time. I'm not great at editing, so I am kind of doing it like a live where I'm not going to edit and I'm just going to say what I need to say and trust that God is guiding me in the right direction and saying what I need to put out there, and I'm just going to put them out.
Give me your whole title of your channel.
It's the Sacred Secret Society.
I was adding in sacred. The
Sacred Secret, yes.
Society. Why isn't it? Okay, come on. Don't Mercury retrograde this shit.
I'm sure that, the YouTube doesn't want it to be found. I tried to start like a Facebook one because that's where I'm used to posting all my stuff about Mormonism, and now this AI data center that they're trying to build down the street from me, that's like the biggest one in the United States. They're putting it right in the middle of neighborhoods and an elementary school, and it's just not good. But I started a Facebook page too called the Sacred Secret Society, and like it's impossible for me to even find sometimes to post on.
I will say, when you first open your channel, it's really hard to find it. So what? Oh, good, you just subbed. Good. Will you do me a favor, Lorena? Will you text me the links to your videos so I can put them up on my community tab?
Yeah.
And do that anytime you post a video. Just send it to me. I'll put it on my community tab.
Thank you.
It's important, and we want to get your sub numbers up so that we can get your videos out into the algorithm. That's why it's important, guys. It's not even about the numbers for like vanity's sake. It's to get the higher your numbers go, the more your work's going to get out, unless you get shadow banned. But actually doing the lives has been kind of helping my shadow banning a little bit. So I think it's time for the AI to like hear what we're saying. So and yeah, you got some subs now. So yay, guys. I hope you enjoy it. So
I'll be putting out
the Mormonism.
Oh, we lost you.
The vitiligo that I have, and
say that again. You cut out there.
Am I there now?
Yeah.
So I'll be talking about Mormonism the most, but also talking about the Ehlers-Danlos syndrome and how exercise in your program has helped me, and the vitiligo that I had, that I got when I was young. And I think that happened around the time I was baptism too. My soul was like, or my body and soul did not agree with it. And shortly after the baptism, I got vitiligo. So there's a lot of things in
Do we have you a
talk about.
code? Do we have your name code for you?
I think, yeah, I signed up for an affiliate. It's not like I don't think it's my name, but it's, yeah, there's a code there.
Give you your channel name, just let Paula know, because yeah, absolutely. We want our we're a small business, so we want you guys are our business. Like if it was, that's why I keep asking people to give me a workout for what they want. I'm like, it's not the Bryce show. Tell me what you guys want. So oh, you look.
Everything you do is great. Oh, hi. Yay.
Yeah. So now you have a yeah, absolutely. So, all right. Well, I'm going to let you get back to your little girls. I'm going to let you guys go and enjoy the rest of your Wednesday. And a lot to think about. And again, like this is a complicated case. I need to catch up with some of Candace's newer episodes about Erika. I keep going back and re-listening to like the beginning ones just to get everything, because she drops so many mic drops. Like, yeah. The first half, a lot of it was us just joking around, to getting the crowd warmed up. So anyway, let's figure out, we'll text with Kresha maybe and figure out another time on the weekend or something to do a long show over.
Yeah.
Long show too, over Tyler, and go even now into the deeper tentacles of this. God, as crazy as your family is, exactly. I want to say, like, as crazy as you think your family is, it could be worse.
There's always another family out there that's crazier.
It could be worse. You could be Erika Kirk with a daddy uncle and an aunt mama and a handler mama and a cousin niece. And a
cousin sister wife.
So, all right, you guys. I think we should start calling our chats, our Mormon chats, from broadcasting from outer darkness. So we'll see you guys later. We're gonna sign out from outer darkness. Have a wonderful Wednesday, and tomorrow I'll be on Catherine Edwards' channel at like. No, we're pre-recording, but I'm going to be filming with Catherine tomorrow. We'll be dark on my channel tomorrow, and then we have a live with Midwest Night Watchers, one of our moderators, on Friday at 2:00. We're going to simulcast with Todd as well, talking about, speaking of paranormal stuff, we're going to be chatting about the paranormal, the ghost and the skinwalkers and all the other creepy things besides, the religious warlocks. They're creepy too. So they might be a little bit more creepier than the skinwalkers. So I think I might rather hang out with the skinwalkers than some of these Satanists. So all right, you guys, we will see you all very soon. Bye, everybody.
Bye.